What is going on, everybody? It is episode 453 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I am here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. Today we have a special guest on the show. You're laughing.
I did not know Crisis Actors was the term you guys use.
Yes.
You didn't?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's been a thing for a while now. They're, contrary to popular belief, not called the pop culture people.
Yeah, that was horrible. That's
Yeah,
just wrong.
PCP.
That was,
Okay, never mind. I like it now. And I didn't even think about that. Now it's awesome. Now
you want to
awesome.
introduce yourself, though?
Oh, right, yeah. I am Aidan Mattis. I am the host of The Lore Lodge, a history, folklore, and religion channel here on YouTube. And yeah, that's me. That's what I do.
Yes, and well, also at one time, week-long co-host on the show.
I was Mary for a week.
He was Mrs. Doubtfire for a whole week.
Do we have the Lore Lodge logo behind me?
It's
been fading in and out. Yeah.
Oh, it does both. Okay, that's cool.
It goes back and forth between the two. So, guys, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. So, Sneako is ruining a whole generation of children with his alt-right I'm making a
Are they
joke
Gen
here.
Alpha?
Yeah, I guess. Are
12-year-olds Gen Z or Gen Alpha?
I don't know.
I think if you were
anymore.
born after 2012, you're Gen Alpha.
Yeah.
I don't
So
even know
guess
what I
not.
am.
Right? Math?
I don't know. I'm on the cusp of millennial and Gen X. So
I'm the cusp of millennial and Gen Z.
yeah. So I feel old.
Meaning what year?
I was 97.
Oh, I think that makes you Gen Z. Right? If you can remember 9/11, you're a millennial. If you
I
can't.
remember 9/11.
You do?
Yeah.
You're very young.
I was like 3. Yeah.
Genius stuff.
You
Just
remember it?
genius things.
Yeah, I mean, I remember being in preschool, and I remember like people
Oh.
being kind of like
They
super
like
weird
rolled
and
in the
panicky.
TV for all the 3-year-olds. Like,
No, but there was.
look, kids.
I have vague memories of it, and I do
Okay.
remember the
Fly
immediate
by
aftermath.
plane.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Nothing. I was singing a 9/11 nursery rhyme. That's what we're not
Yeah.
going to
That
do.
is just
All right.
awful.
We're not gonna do that
That's
today.
the worst.
We got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. So Sneako, there's a video that went viral in which a bunch of kids, young children,
The chillins,
the kids,
will.
won't you think of the kids, said some very homophobic and transphobic stuff, and then he kind of reacts when he's done, like, what have I done to the next generation of kids? Not good. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the effect that these things are going to have on the culture, because of one of the things that's been going on. One of the things people are talking about right now is, like, Hollywood's got all this influence on people, but what about, like, the streaming world? Like, we see the way things are going with feminism. How are things going the other direction?
Forgot to read this $20 super chat from John Stewart. Lurking/listening from work today. Have a great show. We will.
Shimmy Shelley says Brett gives late Gen X. Is that
Late Gen
I guess
X?
is that I guess not early Gen X. So yeah, I'm technically a millennial. I was born in 1986. So we're going to talk about Sneako. We are also going to talk about Emma Roberts, Ryan Murphy, both of who are heavily involved in American Horror Story, which had a bunch of like weird hit pieces written about it today because the new season of the show has come out today with Kim Kardashian. It's going to be, I'm sure everyone's going to watch it. American Horror Story's been on for years. Like, it never interested me,
Yeah,
but
the
it's got a very
people-
dedicated fan base.
Yeah, the people who like it really like
Yeah.
it, but I just don't get the appeal.
I watched like one season because I do like
Which
horror. Roanoke.
Okay.
So I watched
that makes sense.
And it was
Yeah.
decent. It was decent. I liked it, but I couldn't get myself into any of the like circusy themed or like witchcraft ones.
Yeah.
And then American Horror Stories, when they did the little vignettes ones, I had like come out with the national parks are hiding the Wendigo thing about a month and a half before the episode where they had the national parks hiding feral cannibal people. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you guys, you bastards copied me. Like,
And today you're doing research on that, on cannabis.
oh yeah, hell yeah.
Lots of
Hell
research.
brother.
Brother. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Tim Ballard, the individual who inspired the movie Sound of Freedom. He is being hit with a bunch of very, very serious allegations related to...
Everyone's just getting allegations lately.
It's just
it's
allegations.
Also tiresome,
Alligator.
you know?
Allegationsville, population U, Tim Ballard. He's got very serious He's got very serious allegations against him. I believe in a lot of ways it's related to the fact that he's planning to run for the Senate or Congress. He's running for what's his name seat?
Mitt Romney's
Romney's
Senate seat. Yeah.
LOL.
Oh,
so
God.
we're gonna talk about that. Because again, like all this stuff coming out at once, like could Hollywood do something other than provide us with stories about people who may or may not be degenerates? So we're going to talk about that, and we're also going to talk about Howard Stern, who has somehow mastered cringe level 9,000. And I'm not even going to tell you the quote. We'll save it for the episode, but it's hilarious. So we're going to get into that. We got other stuff. We're glad you're hanging out here today, guys. But would you hit the like button on this video? Would you subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed already? Thank you very much for that. Remember, all super chats $20 and over. We will interrupt the discussion, read them right then and there. Do our best to get back on topic. Also, hit the notification bell so that you get notified anytime one of these segments goes live, and share these videos with your friends. That's what I've really been trying to drive home, is that we want you to share these videos out so that other people can come in, hang out with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if you guys are ready, we will just get right into it. Maria, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Aidan, are you ready?
I'm so ready.
All right. Do you want to like tell us
ready.
about meeting Kevin Sorbo?
Oh,
a little.
Kevin Sorbo rules. Yeah. Well, like before the show, we talked. I talked to him a lot about, because we're both from Minnesota. So like we talked for like 20 minutes and like going back and forth about, because he's from like Mound, which is, I wasn't in the tax bracket for Mound. Let's just say that, right? But I had a good friend who's from Mound, Minnesota, and we talked about that. And after like 20 minutes of like in which we talked about the state of Minnesota, he looks up and he notices my hat, which is a Minnesota North Stars hat. He goes, "Oh, I didn't even notice that." Like it was great. But he had a lot of great insights about Hollywood, about the filmmaking industry. Tim, kind of, and Ian went back and forth about the strike and the unions and everything. But it was a lot of fun. He's
So
Hercules.
he's pro unions.
He's been a member of SAG for a long time. Like he's got his loyalties there, but he's out making movies on his own. He runs his own small studio, so he makes a couple of movies, 4 or 5 movies a year. So he's a busy guy, but he's really intelligent. He knows so much about the business. One of the things I would have loved to have been able to talk to him about, because we did get into it more heavily off air, is Hollywood's funny book, is the funny money, is how it's what they call Hollywood's creative accounting. How every movie seems to lose money, but somehow they make more of them. Why is that? And it's long been, theorized that Hollywood is a money laundering scheme. That's not what he's saying. He's just saying that the books get cooked in a certain way to screw everyone but the people making it. And I'm at a point now where I don't like the studios, I don't like the directors, I don't like the actors, I don't like any of them. So, I'm ambivalent on all that, but hearing his perspective on that was fascinating. I would have liked to have had him on the show tonight, but he's a busy guy. He's got stuff to do. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started first. We got some updates on the Russell Brand situation. One of the European bosses of YouTube basically said he won't be banned from the platform. So what they're saying is like, look, you can live, you just can't make a living. Like, you're allowed to be alive. You just have to be miserable and die alone in a box.
They said something like, well, we haven't seen any harmful content from him yet, but we're watching.
As if he's just been waiting for the day to update his, greatest hits reels of sexual assaults. Like, is that what they think he's going to do? Is that what they think he's going to do?
I'm sure YouTube was already keeping a close eye on him just for the nature of what he covers.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So he knows that he has to tiptoe around certain issues now.
Yeah. And so it says his name's Pedro Pena, says they were appearing in conversation with Channel 4. Remember, I pointed out on the show last night, Channel 4 is the place that hosts Naked Education, which puts naked adults in front of a bunch of children. Oh. So you are not the bastions of good conscience. You're horrible people, and you're judging this guy that we can't know enough about to actually pass judgment on. Have you been following the story?
I had not. Also, that was an assault on my ears, especially. Yes. I was actually going to ask you if you could turn me down a little bit, because I
asked earlier.
You did, and I just realized that now that we're all talking and lively and animated, I'm currently dying.
Better?
Yes, much better. Thank you. I am so sorry for the inconvenience, but no, I have not been following that. Yeah. I have been so nose deep in things that happened 150 years ago that I have thankfully had a respite from all of the nonsense of 2023. Yeah. So I guess ruin my week.
Yeah. I feel like when we do eventually a 2023 pop culture recap, this year is going to be just Me Too allegations and celebrity divorces. Yep. Is that the running theme that you're noticing as well?
Yeah, Kevin Costner just settled his divorce. got they like apparently she got more money than she thought.
And
she
sprinkle
was
in Barbenheimer, and that's pretty
and
much the year in review.
I mean, there was other stuff. Like, look, we reviewed a lot of movies this year, and what I pointed out on the show last night was like, look, I may not have loved all of them, but it's not like we went to a bunch of movies that were awful. They were just forgettable, right? And that's the struggle.
Dumb Money, the movie about GameStop, is coming out this Friday, and I was like thinking, should we review it? I mean, let us know in the chat if you want us to. But
it got mixed reviews.
It seems like just another forgettable movie. Also, they're wearing, I mean, I know it's because it happened during like the pandemic era. Masks. But they're wearing masks in the movie, and it's just, I don't want to be reminded of that again.
So it says, essentially, he's not able to make a living through YouTube. And what I was thinking, so somebody made a comment to me the other day, because the examples that I was giving were Colleen Ballinger, who has very serious allegations against her. If that's the level of evidence you're looking for, if all you're looking for is Colleen Ballinger is evidence.
I mean, really, these kids who were fans of hers during that time that are making all the allegations, they have more receipts and more proof for what they're telling people about her than what I've seen so far for Russell Brand.
The other example I gave is Mike Tyson, and they're like, well, Mike Tyson,
that's a whole conviction.
And their point was, they say, yeah, but Mike Tyson paid his debt to society. I'm like, okay, fine. So is the idea here that you don't get to make money while you're accused, but you can make money once you've been convicted?
Can he get remonetized after he gets convicted?
After you pay your debt to society? Or is the idea here that maybe the only time you should be demonetized is while you're actually serving your prison sentence, and the third-party organization like YouTube should stay out of it?
Well, I think you guys are making the assumption that there's supposed to be rules or any sort of fair
yes, I'm utopian in my thinking.
No, it's not. Russell Brand got himself outside of the accepted space in Hollywood, and regardless of whether or not he did it, I don't know anything about it aside from a few vague, he's accused of some bad stuff. And I will say, what he's been accused of is a lot worse than what Colleen Ballinger was accused of. So I think there is a slight difference there in terms of, comparing the two. But, I mean, there's no path to redemption for him. He's never allowed back.
He wasn't really in the club before the allegations hit,
Well, he was in the club for a long time, and then he left the club, and now they're
like, hey, you still want to be part of our club. Here's why you can't be.
This is the punishment. This is the, you know what, well, now goodbye, you're out for good.
Tim
I think they're making an example of him.
Tim made a good point. He said a lot of people keep pointing to Big Pharma as like the ones who would want to bring him down. He goes, I think it's more likely the fact that he's anti-war, and now you're into the military-industrial complex, the CIA and the NSA, which have actual people that could
even that sounds too like intelligent and conspiratorial.
Well, all the conspiracies, everybody's always thinking it's like, they're targeting the right wingers. It's like, I don't see Russell Brand as a right winger, and I think it is that he's there's this. For whatever reason, we have somehow completely abandoned anti-war as being a thing that
it's crazy,
is a liberal
isn't it? Dude,
value.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like, you watch movies and television from 10 years ago, and any character, if they included a character that was supposed to be like some type of liberal activist, anti-war was always the sentiment.
I'm looking over here. Sean Penn's crusade. Why he's risking it all for Ukraine.
Why he's risking it all by doing basically nothing that puts him in danger.
By not risking anything.
We've also got Rose McGowan's words here.
Yeah, she gave her interesting take on Twitter in a voice note. She said, "What's the true narrative they're pushing, and who really loses?"
Yeah. Well, the point I made was like, look,
she's kind of horseshoed.
Yeah.
Back to like critical of Me Too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like that happened pretty quickly.
Yeah.
She was critical of the fact that they were going on these vacations and nothing was actually getting done.
Yeah.
Like, why are you going on these planning vacations where you just go to exotic resorts and nothing gets done, right? Like, nothing ever actually happens with these when they fill these organizations out, whether it's BLM, whether it's the Me Too movement, which
Time's Up specifically,
which was an actual organization. Nothing really ever comes of it. It becomes a way for these celebrities to voluntarily virtue signal as well as make money because they end up on the boards of these companies. They get invited to events, which allows them to network further within the community. It's kind of how the Hollywood ecosystem works now when every actor, somebody used the term the other day that I can't believe I had never heard of before, activist, which was that's what a lot of them are in a lot of ways. So should we listen? Did she say more? Should we listen to the
Yeah,
to
we
her
should
clip?
listen to her take.
All right, here we
I
go.
haven't heard it.
Let me start this by saying I stand with all victims. I think what's being done right now in the Russell Brand case with The Guardian and the other news outlets is part of a concerted effort to turn the public in general against anybody who comes out. And one of the reasons and ways they're doing this is a concerted effort to bend journalistic rules that have always been in place, such as having to be on the record with who you are and what your name is in order to accuse. I didn't make these rules. These are the rules. They were the rules. So there's something very strange going on when these rules are being bent in order to push a narrative. It's almost like Icarus flew too close to the sun. He's a low-lying fish and not one of the truly powerful, so he can be thrown to the wolves. I don't know if he's guilty. I don't know if he's innocent. That's not what this is about. This is about driving us further apart and mainstream media and media outlets protecting people on a higher up level from true consequence, from what they're really doing and what they're really getting away with. And the real losers in this are actual victims. I'm sorry and hurt for anybody who's been hurt. But this narrative and the way it's being done is just pushing this culture war, pushing us farther apart, and pushing any gains gotten by people believing accusers to the edge. And this is a way to have us not be believed. This is not the way the reporting is done. You have to go on the record. It has always been that way. I didn't make it so. It didn't make me happy to have to do so. Neither did it make others happy to have to do so. But to blindly and anonymously accuse, none of these high-level journalistic outlets would have ever let this be published before. So I have to ask why? Why now? What is the true narrative they're pushing?
Meaning that they wouldn't have allowed people to make these claims anonymously before.
She's right. There's nothing brave or courageous about coming out with these allegations, as all of these articles have just heaped praise on the accusers while you're doing it anonymously. That's not brave.
Yeah, that was the point we were making yesterday, right? It's like the one lady who came forward with her name, that would be considered brave, but taking shots from the dark, from the shadows isn't that. It's political fodder.
Yeah. I honestly think that everything Rose McGowan was even saying in there is good. I don't want to blanket say I agree with everything she said, but I think the idea that, yes, the people who are hurt by this are the actual credible victims who...
That's what Dane said.
It's...
Yes.
Yeah.
If you get to a point where there's just a constant stream of accusations against people with no evidence whatsoever, then you start to make the assumption that unless you're provided with more and more a higher and higher standard of evidence, that people are just going to assume you're lying. And so you get the opposite effect of what was intended. I mean, I don't know what to think with Russell Brand, but my rational side goes, all right, he was a, hard partying movie star in Hollywood in the 2010s. Yeah. The chances that he hooked up with a 16-year-old, that would not surprise me at all. I would not put it past a guy like him
that
having,
wasn't
watched
even
him.
hooked up. That was in a relationship. In the UK, right? And and then there was people going back and forth on Megyn Kelly had a lot to say on the ethics of that, and said that it was disgusting. That
and she was just saying, don't be so confident in saying this guy is innocent. You just be honest. You don't know if he's innocent. You don't know if he's guilty. And
that's what we said yesterday. I asked the question, is Russell Brand innocent, guilty, or look, it's complicated? And I think that the only right answer is actually, look, it's complicated. Yeah. It's very, very hard. I hesitate to have that much certainty on anything going on in my own life, let alone a third party view of somebody else's life.
I think it could very well be that he did some of or all of the things he's accused of, but the fact that he did them is by no means the motivation for taking him out.
A lot of people,
because I think I am, when it comes to this stuff, you know that it's an open secret. There's rumors about who does what. Everyone knew about Weinstein. Everyone knew about him, and Oprah was handing off young starlets to the guy left and right. So we can all pretend like there's not open secrets and all of that in Hollywood, but I mean, I don't think that they go after people for this unless they're making an example of them for something else. I think it's entirely possible that he did it. I would not be shocked to hear that. But
that plus ulterior motives, it could totally be the case that both of those things are at play. But a lot of people have gone from believe all women to believe no women, and those are the sheep who would have been convinced to either extreme in the first place. And I was always like, makes no difference to me. I can't know the truth.
Yeah. Yep. All right. And in a similar story, what we have right now is what's going on with Danny Masterson, which is that his wife
got dumped.
He got dumped, right? She's divorcing him. I think a lot of this is financial obligations because he's got very serious lawsuits in the works right now with victims who are looking to sue him. And with that conviction, the requirements for conviction on a civil suit are a lot. The burden of proof is a lot lower on a civil suit than it is in a criminal trial. So I would assume that if he was convicted, whatever you think of the conviction on the criminal trial, he's also going to be paying out heavily in fines and in civil stuff. So his wife's like, "Look, I'm out of here." Though there was a picture of her today. I guess she was out still wearing her wedding ring.
Yeah, she's like reiterated that he's a good father. I think she's on his side still.
Yeah. Yep. So he's got a. Just between him, like the fallout from all these, that's the real tragedy of this. Is like it's the criminal gets jail, and if he's guilty, then I guess glad justice is served. But it's the emotional fallout of everybody else that has to be caught up in the in these types of problems. The victims, the victims that were actually had crimes committed against him, people who were just looking to write a letter for their friend who know nothing about this person who supposedly know nothing about this guy's criminal activity, but are just trying to be there for a friend. Everyone gets caught up, and it just ends up leading to a whole lot of pain and sadness. And it kind of puts it into perspective when you think about just how dark of an industry Hollywood is, because you put this much power, this much money, and people with that type of proclivity all in one place.
How naive do you have to be to not understand that mantras like believe all women, it just acts as like this fragrant pie on a windowsill for malicious people who are power hungry and money hungry and fame hungry. Yep. And they like a cartoon float to the pie and take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Like, how naive do you have to be to not see the incentive there to lie?
Yeah. There's and at the end of the day, like what it is to me, it's that everything's being looked at third party, right? So you're always on the outside looking in, and I'm just kind of numb to all of it now. Like you made the joke before, you're like, I'll go see Bill Cosby if he comes to town. Like I don't know anymore, and I feel
nothing.
I don't care. Like I know that sounds horrible, but I just can't bring myself to care because I can't know, and that type of uncertainty breeds a lot of.
I don't know any of these people. Yeah. I didn't have some. Like impression of Danny Masterson or Russell Brand that got shattered overnight.
Yeah, it breeds a lot of I'm just drained. I don't care. Yeah, right. Yeah. Like it's awful.
So. I can't blame you.
I'm just gonna assume from here on out that basically any celebrity that doesn't outwardly show me to the contrary is just not a good person.
There you go.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Somebody in the chat said earlier, Russell Brand hasn't posted on Rumble since all this happened. He'll probably end up doing a lot of Rumble exclusives and still make money.
Yeah,
right?
Rumble could make a lot of money off of that.
Yep. So let's go ahead. Let's move on. Let's go ahead. Now that we've gotten the serious stuff out of the way.
It's a lighter fare.
To start. So do you remember the lady who called everybody bums because she's Instagram famous?
Did you see that video?
Of the lady who.
I have seen the memes. I had not actually seen the video.
I'll play the video right here.
Call me a bitch again. Call me a bitch again. Yeah, you did nothing wrong. No, you shut the fuck up. You shut the fuck up. And
what the hell is she wearing?
You shut the film me. I'm Instagram famous, you fucking bum. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
Sounds Italian.
I did look at her Instagram profile. I have more TikTok followers than she has Instagram followers.
Yeah, she had
and that
like,
just made me laugh.
Well, she had like 975,000.
Go up to random strangers and be like, "I'm TikTok famous."
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Fucking bum.
I do occasionally do that at the bar just as a joke. Like my friends will do it to me more often than I do it, but sometimes I'll like introduce myself, be like, yeah, I'm a YouTuber. Like just
Not
make a
easy
joke
being
of it.
famous.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, you might recognize me.
So she just got offered a really low ball.
Yeah, they lowballed the shit out of this
Amazon
lady.
Lowball.
deal.
Holy crap. $25,000. This lady, like her Instagram is full of nothing but luxury stuff. Like this lady's doesn't need your $25,000.
She's getting
It should be
Flown to
$1.
Dubai.
It should be $1 per follower at this point. Come on, man.
She gets more than that when she does unspeakable things in Dubai.
Yes, way more.
What the hell does she do in Dubai?
She's flown out there by gentlemen's unknown, I'm sure. I'm sure, right?
She looks the type.
Companion of one of the princes.
Yeah.
I don't think that she's gonna take this deal.
No, I don't think so either. She's pretty, but she's very mean and she's very rude and it's very, very
Part of the appeal.
No,
her brand.
Yeah, for her, I guess, right? People are like, she's so iconic. I'm like, oh my god. So
Iconic to whom?
Wait, there also will. Okay, so it said any way she likes, so it could just be lingerie or bathing suits.
Yeah, they said you don't even have to get naked.
Which at that, okay, listen, you want to pay me $25,000 to pose in a bikini? I'm gonna do it. Like, I'll take that deal.
Has someone offered you that deal?
No, a few people have asked me to start.
Wait, what about the calendar?
A different site.
what about the calendar?
The calendar, we are still trying to find a photographer who doesn't want to charge us like $2,500 for a shoot. We might just shoot it ourselves.
Crowdfund it.
Crowdfund the
Help us
photography.
pay a photographer for
Well, part of the problem was it's a
calendar
sexy
shoot.
calendar, so yeah, saucy calendar. But the problem was I was not saucy when we decided to do this, so I had to work on getting
You had to
saucy.
get saucy.
So I'm down to 185 pounds from 210, so I'm
Okay,
happy
go
for
off.
myself. But yeah, we haven't shot it yet for that reason.
That calendar's coming any day now, ladies. and
Any day
gentlemen.
now, it'll be a
Now,
2024 calendar. We promise that. We will shoot it in October.
Is it going to be like in the woods? It's going to be all sorts
Oh,
of...
it's gonna be
it's thematic.
absolutely silly.
thematic.
Do you
Oh,
like
yeah.
Halloween? Are you a Halloween
I'm a big
enjoyer?
Halloween. Yeah, I love Halloween.
Okay.
I think Halloween's probably my number 3. I think 4th of July, Christmas, Halloween.
Okay.
Christmas, 4th of July, Halloween.
Yeah, I think Christmas is at the top of my list.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So Bianca Censori, Kanye West's wife, says that all her friends are just jealous.
Yes. This says that a bunch of her friends went to her to voice serious concerns about her relationship with Kanye, and she told them to F off because they're jealous of her fame and her stardom. And, all of the people who are saying she's a victim of Kanye and that he's manipulating her and abusing her can shut up now, because she clearly is admitting right here she's in this for the fame.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
giving her exactly what she
always-
wants.
exactly.
This is a transactional relationship. She knows what she's doing, and she's satisfied with the outcome. And she's telling people who are concerned about her to F off.
Yeah.
And she also, her friends called her a thirsty lost cause.
She's a model, right? Like,
She's technically an architect. She's a very smart lady.
okay.
Yeah. She was hired by Kanye as an architect for Yeezy. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
I don't know what it means to be the
Why
head of
would he need
architecture for Yeezy.
Isn't Yeezy a shoe company?
Maybe he likes building
Yeah.
things. I don't know.
I don't know that he hired her to
Didn't
do
he
architecture.
literally make a prototype encampment
I don't know.
of huts at some point?
Maybe that's what
I'm
he
not
hired her
making
for?
that up.
Yeah.
He wants to create housing and end world hunger and all of this stuff. He has plans.
Yep.
And she's going to help him get there. Supposedly.
I feel like he's been directing his attention in the wrong direction lately if his plan is to end world hunger.
I don't know what he's been doing lately. They're just both
Getting
walking
handsy
around
on a boat in Venice, I think.
They're just
right?
kind of wandering around Italy aimlessly, trying to shock people day after day.
Do you remember the foreskin dress that she was wearing when we talked about it last time I was here?
What was that one?
Wait,
She was wearing a
what?
dress that went up around here, it looked like it looked like.
Wait,
yeah.
was that the one at church or something?
Yeah, something like that.
She was at church with Kanye and everybody was dressed insane.
His Sunday service?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look it up.
Because you can't be doing that in Italy.
No,
You're
this
going
was-
to
No,
get
this
kicked
was
out
not
of a
in Italy.
Catholic
This
church
was
in Italy
3 months
for
ago.
doing that.
Yeah.
So pulling something like that.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I think she's happy with this transactional relationship, and she was in this to make a name for herself.
I can't. Oh yeah, here it is.
Wait, what is this? This is their church fit.
Yeah.
All right, that's unique. I like the shoulder pads that he's wearing.
Yes.
With the socks.
But you
They didn't
understand
show
where I was coming from.
His feet, but he's wearing only socks there.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you wear to church. It's perfect. It's not distracting at all.
Yeah.
R.I.P. the person who has to sit behind her.
You can't see.
Can't see over her or anything like that. All right, and we got one that I know Aidan is very excited about. He's very excited about the Daily Wire's Pendragon Cycle TV show.
Kill me.
They have now cast Merlin. They've announced the casting. They put out this press release for it.
His name's Tom Sharp.
This is a reimagining of the myth of King Arthur.
Yeah.
So,
it's reimagining it all right.
What are your thoughts?
Well, first of
For
all,
what we know so far.
So, first of all, Atlantis, long gone by the Arthurian period, so I'm not sure how Merlin could be the son of an Atlantean princess. And the bard Taliesin, who was born basically the timeline does not work out here. Like,
Okay.
King Arthur was born, probably would have been living around the same time as Taliesin. If Merlin is older than King Arthur, then Merlin has to be older than Taliesin and therefore cannot be his son. There's just a whole bunch of chronological issues here, as well as the idea that the Britons were for some reason like pagan still, because they weren't. They were Christian for the most part at that point.
Yeah, this is as he's like navigating the fall of the Roman occupation and the rise of Christianity.
Like what drives me a little insane is that Arthur, the traditional character Arthur, is this hero of Christendom. And that does not seem to be the angle they're going for at all. He seems to be more on the pagan side in this. I don't know how it's going to end up, but like...
So you would say they're not respecting the source material.
Not well. And
Classic mistake.
I expect better of the Daily Wire. And I guess what I'm really saying here, Jeremy, is I would love to be a consultant.
Hire him.
You can call me. I will tell you your mistakes.
The young actor who's playing him he played Lancelot in a 2017 production. So he's got his niche now, his niche.
This is going to be his breakout role.
Yep.
I mean, maybe they didn't do that rigorous fact checking that you're talking about.
They did not.
But it's based on a book series, The Pendragon Cycle, by Stephen Lawhead. So they're just probably going off of that.
Yeah.
All right, so you know, what they're doing though is an ambitious project. They're in Hungary filming, right? And they've got a bunch of shoots planned. It's a very, very big deal. Jeremy Boring had to take leave of absence.
He's directing and producing, not writing. Brett was very confused at the idea that Jeremy Boring would be writing it.
I was like, maybe I
didn't know. Like, has he had a history of directing other projects?
Yeah.
It's interesting if that's his first time directing anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We'll have to see how that goes.
That also worries me.
Yep. So, all right.
Everything worries me.
Cute of the day or cringe of the day?
Cringe.
Cringe?
Cringe.
All right. We'll just do one today. Which one do you want to see, Mary?
Let's go with Trump karaoke.
Here we go.
This guy was in a bus. Now he's in a bus. Yeah!
I'm shy.
He'll get the words next time.
I can't do it. But somebody pull up the lyrics on their phone for him.
Yeah, like help.
People were very scandalized at the idea that Trump doesn't know the lyrics to Rich Men North of Richmond.
But also, like, I don't know the lyrics to Rich Men North of Richmond. And to be perfectly honest with you, there are several songs I've written that I don't know the lyrics to anymore. So
maybe he's a fake fan.
Fake fan.
Oh, plus he is the rich man.
He's a rich
He
man
is the rich
south
man north of Richmond.
He may not be everything that they're portraying in that song, but he's still the rich man. Like,
But I love how he's like getting everyone else to sing
Yeah.
along, and he's like pointing to the crowd.
Yep. All right, let's go ahead and do cute of the day then, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. First things first. This is very sad, so I wanted to do this one first. This is from Tanner on Twitter. He says, I would really appreciate a shout out honoring my 2-year-old shepherd Coulter, who we were in a car accident on Saturday. Coulter didn't make it. I am very grateful for the brief time he blessed me. He was the biggest sweetheart and loved endlessly.
Oh,
R.I.P.
Yes. It's unbelievably sad.
he's gone to the big dog park in the sky.
Yeah.
Hope you all are okay.
Oh, it is so sad. So yes, rest in peace to Coulter. All right. This is from Beer and Gear. It says this is Sancho, Sancho the pirate dog guarding me while I ice my back.
It's so cute. It's like a teddy bear with one of the eyes poked out.
Very cute. Very cute. All right, we'll do one more. This is from Nick 8 Elodian on Twitter.
Okay.
Yes, he says my hog Rexy and a frog unknown. That is very, very cute.
They're friends.
Frog unknown.
Have you ever seen that meme where it's like a girl's taking a picture with like a seal, and a guy's like, "Look at this cute picture of my daughter on the left," and the daughter's like, "Thanks for pointing out which one's me, Dad." Yeah.
I like the idea that they're friends.
Yep,
Oh, I
just
like
hanging out.
this. Somebody said he just went ahead to scout for you in regards to the dog that passed away. I like that.
All right, let's go
I
ahead
like that idea.
Let's go ahead and get started then, shall we? Mary, tell us what's going on with Sneako.
There was a video of Sneako doing a brief meet and greet with some of his very young fans, middle school aged boys, at a Miami Marlins game recently. And in this clip, while we're about to watch it, they make some very distasteful comments about the LGBT community. And it's clearly stuff they're saying because this is what they think Sneako believes, and they want to get attention, validation from Sneako as their idol. It's kind of scary that Sneako is an idol for young boys these days, for various reasons. But he looks at the camera and he's like, "What have I done?"
Yeah. Here, we'll play the clip. It's
It is a little funny that Mr. Beast keeps giving us like new controversial characters in this universe.
he's
I
just,
Like we
didn't
got
even
Chris,
know.
and then we got Sneako. We got the
Yeah.
opposite ends of the spectrum.
I have no idea how I went this long not knowing Sneako was on Mr. Beast's channel.
Yeah, I found.
I
out
thought he just
recently,
kind of
too.
popped up out
Me
of
too.
nowhere.
I thought he was just like an Aiden Ross, Andrew Tate kind of guy.
well, yeah, I mean, he is.
Well, I thought that's how he started.
shifted that way, and I think he's a little bit like trying to repair his reputation right now.
Well, that tweet's not doing a very good job of it.
No.
Here we go. Here's the clip.
Fuck the woman! Fuck the woman!
What? No, wait.
Sneako.
We love women. We love women. We love women.
But not like transgenders.
Yes, sir. We love everybody. No.
All gays should die.
Yeah, Mark, preach.
Not good, ladies and gentlemen.
Not ideal.
Not ideal. Not good.
Play the rest.
What have I done?
Fucking talk.
Yeah. Talk to him.
Yo, what's up? He looks a little bit like what am I doing to society?
Yeah.
Just a little bit, you know?
In the moment, he kind of had a reckoning with himself. Like, what kind of influence am I having on these children?
Yeah.
And aside from anything they're saying about, like, women or gay people or whatever, that language.
Yeah.
It's very bad language for kids to be using around adults. Like, I don't know. I feel like that wasn't as normal decades back.
Do you think that there's like kind of like this when you're like an internet personality, and sometimes like the size of your reach kind of doesn't always like
It doesn't
compute.
register with you when you're just the one on camera.
Exactly, right? So if you're that person, right, and you're like, wow, then you realize the effect that your words actually have in the world, you're like, holy crap. Like
We
what-
have like probably 11-year-old pop culture crisis fans
Oh,
that
I
are
can-
walking around like, hey, crisis actors.
That's our audience is very firmly in adulthood.
So Sneako responded to this clip getting posted and said, "They're children and obviously joking. This is how I was at 12. But if it sounds egregious to you, blame the rainbow flags in their classrooms. Blame the media for emasculating men. It's your fault for forcing an obvious agenda, not these kids. Boys will be boys." That infamous phrase, boys will be boys.
I was just watching a thing the other day. The Dadvocate had a like a poll up on Instagram that was like, what do you think of, like, do you approve of the phrase boys will be boys, and then left it open for like people to answer why. And most of it is the most most people are rational, and they're like, look, if we're talking about 12-year-olds roughhousing, that's fine, but if we're talking about excusing awful behavior and calling it locker room behavior, that's not the same
but
thing.
I don't think that boys will be boys ever was a phrase used to excuse things like that.
In Hollywood, it's something you'd see in television shows where it's just the worst.
TV shows, but in reality, I really don't get. I don't think that it was used to excuse that kind of behavior.
I mean, never in my house, but I can't speak
Especially
for everyone.
not about adults. And this is normal for 12-year-olds, I think. Like,
exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Especially, I believe that Sneako was like this at 12. I think you have to worry about, why am I the same person I was at 12 when I'm however old Sneako is.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that I was like that at 12 because I wasn't, but I knew people who were, just were like a little immature and edgy and thought that they were being cool. And then as they grew up, they grew into like totally normal, well-adjusted people.
Exactly.
It's
like the Call of Duty lobbies would have you believe that these people grew up to be this way forever. And that's
exactly. 12-year-olds are like that, and they do say things like this. But the whole point is that you're supposed to correct that behavior.
Yeah.
Like, you expect it, you understand that that's normal for them, but you also have a responsibility as a role model to be like, hey, I understand, why you think that's funny, but it's not. Here's why. Here's how to be a well-adjusted human being. You're supposed to not necessarily parent, but lead the way, and that's not what he's doing.
Maybe it doesn't feel
here.
like the time and place, but like the parents they don't seem to be present in this situation. Or keeping track of what their kids are watching online.
Well, the one kid's lost already. He's wearing a U Miami shirt.
Kids are always going to say crazy stuff. That's just, I mean, there was whole.
But it's like, you have to think, like, why do they think saying these specific phrases is the way to get approval from their idol?
Yeah.
Right? And why is Sneako their idol? It's probably because they have unfettered internet access and their parents don't listen to or pay attention to what they're watching.
Yeah. And a lot of these kids, like, they're right. They're being shoved agendas down their throat the whole time from every angle the rest of their lives. And the only way that they are able to escape that is they find people that have the complete opposite personality. And that a lot of times doesn't necessarily find you the greatest individuals.
Right. I think 12-year-olds in the 2000s, they called things gay and they said slurs and they were edgy and stuff like that. But I don't think they had the same antagonist that 12-year-olds today have, especially 12-year-old boys who are being actively emasculated. And also in the classroom, the girls are praised for their ability to sit still and be quiet, and boys don't have that same ability. They're being medicated.
So just put them on Adderall.
Yeah, they're being medicated and indoctrinated. That's absolutely the case, and it wasn't as bad in the 2000s or even the 2010s. So
you think that's infinitely worse now? I mean, I feel like it was already bad.
It's way worse. Bad before. I think it's way worse in classrooms now.
Yeah.
In public schools and in the media, all over the place. Yes.
And the kids aren't given strong male role models. Hollywood tells them that all men are big and dumb and they're oafs. They can't do anything right, and they're kind of expected to just do that. They're supposed to resign themselves to a life where they're just a big dumb oaf who is subservient to whoever he ends up marrying. Right? That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
That they're not really given great role models, and it's the same is true on television and movies. Like I always point out, I was shocked at certain movies when the guy just ends up being competent in the movie, because it just doesn't seem like that happens very much anymore.
And maybe that's not stuff that these 12-year-olds are actively thinking about or are even conscious of, but it's in their subconscious. Like they can feel that sentiment in the air.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be able to articulate it like the way that you just did, but they know that specifically their maleness is reviled in our current culture.
Yeah. So a lot of what you see is they resign to video games. They resign to, you know, a different life than what we should be giving for them. Whereas with women, we're encouraging them to go out, do your best, become a CEO. Women, what is it? Women are now outpacing men at college, both in graduation and admission, right?
I think they're making more money than men in a similar age group.
Which is funny because the gender wage gap is still going to be a topic. So these kids...
For decades to come.
In about 10, 15 years, there will be no statistics to support it because it will invert. And it will be that men are making less on average.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, good. That's the sad part.
Good. They should live in boxes.
Yeah. Well, that's what they'll end up saying.
So Sneako also...
I am so happy to be self-employed.
Sneako did a stream on Rumble where he addressed this video as well and gave a seemingly sarcastic apology. He said, "I just wanted to take a moment to apologize for everything and take accountability. Sometimes you don't realize the type of impact you have." He started pretending to cry. "You don't realize the reach. You don't know how many people you're really getting to. I think the liberals were right. I think YouTube was right to ban me."
Yeah.
I don't think YouTube was right to ban him though.
No.
That
maybe for sniffing Andrew Tate's seat. That
was Aidan Ross.
Or that was
not
yes,
Sneako.
that was Aidan Ross. That's
they all kind of blend together.
That's a bannable offense.
I am so angry to share a name with that kid.
His is spelled.
It's not the
His
same,
is spelled
yeah.
the wrong. It's
He has
spelled.
the wrong
it's such a
spelling.
stupid way of
It's like
spelling.
spelling
the name.
Brett with one T.
It's spelled Aiden.
Aden.
That's. It's not how English works. That does not spell Aiden.
It's like spelling Brett with one T. It's just wrong.
Two acceptable spellings: the original Irish one that has an O in it for some reason, and the one I have.
How does that one spelled?
I think it's AODHAN, something like that.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
It's like Siobhan.
Yeah.
Siobhan.
Yeah.
It's not even a thing.
It's a different language, Brett.
What? How would you how would you correct this if you were in charge of the world? How would you correct this problem?
Or if I were one of their mothers.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Ugh. It's such a daunting thought. Like,
Yeah.
Come on, Mommy Mary.
I hated
I'm
that.
so sorry.
I hated that.
I thought it was gonna. I
don't
thought it
know
was
if
gonna
we
be
can
funny,
move
and it
past
came
this.
on worse. It came out worse.
I don't know if we can move past
It was
that.
an immediate moment of, you know what?
I mean,
no.
I think monitoring your kids' internet behavior.
Yeah,
the internet
you
is
get
a
ahead of
huge-
that before they're 12.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And it's just basic. It's parental neglect at this point to give your kids smartphones at such a young age and to give them unrestricted internet access. It is neglect.
Yeah.
Or to not put like parental controls and filters on what they're using.
And it's going to be up to the moms and the dads to be able to tell their boys, like, look, you are not bad by default, like society is telling you. And again, those kids won't be able to identify an exact example of that. It's because all aspects of society are quietly telling them that. But mom and dad will have to find a way to say, like, look, this is not true. You may feel that way sometimes, even though you can't put your finger on why, but you are not bad just because you're a guy.
Even girls in an inverted sense, they're given the same message that there's something fundamentally wrong with them for being feminine.
Yes.
And
women
that
should be women.
Yeah.
Really, it's that men should act more like women and women should act more like men.
Until we're all just kind of gray blobs.
Yeah, amorphous and just empty.
Yeah.
And
we work for companies.
and indistinguishable from someone else, right? And that's scary and that's sad, especially if you want to use traditional traits of gender as like a baseline for raising your kid, right? Which would have been completely normal 20 years ago, but now is no longer like that.
One of the trendy feminist slogans that was on t-shirts and tote bags in the mid 2010s was "Raise boys and girls the same way."
Which makes no sense.
Raise boys and girls the same way. The fundamental message behind that slogan is that boys and girls are fundamentally the same. They have no distinctions. There's no real distinction between male and female. There's no such thing as a difference between masculinity and femininity. Therefore, there's no reason to raise boys and girls differently.
Yeah.
But no, like, raise boys like boys and raise girls like girls. It doesn't mean impose artificial gender roles on them, like if you're a girl you have to wear pink and you have to play with dolls, or if you're a boy you have to like trucks. That's not what that means. We've just really like lost a sense of like the real spiritual difference between men and women.
So what I also find interesting is that with my group of friends growing up, like my neighborhood group, the people that I spent every day with in the summer, all that, we did not really observe gender differences in what we did together. Like the girls would be involved in wrestling and playing manhunt, and we did everything together as a group. Nobody was excluded on the basis of gender. We just did everything together. And as we grew older, all the girls ended up totally normal girls, and all the guys turned out totally normal guys. Like we just naturally made that split into taking the different interests that you take as adults. So like when you don't consciously do the whole we raise everybody the same thing, you just passively let kids do what they want to do. They're going to practice freedom of association, and they're going to socialize normally. Your job as a parent is not to socially engineer your child's development.
Yes.
It's to allow your child the freedom to grow while keeping them safe. It's not to create the perfect child, because you're going to mess up if you try.
Yeah. I think when you're saying like you need to raise boys, telling them, despite what the media, you might hear in the media, there's not something wrong with you because you're male. Like you do need to overcorrect just because the culture is so insane right now. Yeah. But really just it's important to teach girls that the ways they're different from boys are not deficits in them. And likewise, that the ways boys are not like girls, that's not a deficit in them either.
It's weird. Like I think back to how Hollywood, like one of the things that I found unifying about Hollywood back in the day is they tended to focus more, and this is a conscious shift that's gone on in society in the last 10 to 15 years, longer than that now. But it used to focus on like, what did you have in common with your fellow man, right? It's like, it's kind of like, remember when COVID had, we're all in this together, and everyone made fun of it because it actually is ridiculous in that concept. But at the end of the day, like what they would do is they would talk about like, look, like when we're talking like people at award shows, or if we're talking about like when they did We Are the World, it's like we're all human, right? But you acknowledge that despite the fact that you had differences, we have common ground that all of us can find. Now they seem to go the opposite way, where they focus extremely heavily on the things that divide, that separate us from one another, and then they ignore the humanity of everyone else. And that's by design. And that type of behavior, when it's, thrown at kids day in and day out, isn't healthy.
Right.
I think. So, all right, let's go to Super Chats, shall we?
Woohoo! Shane H. Wilder said, I hardly ever drink soda anymore, but as a Texan, I have to go with Dr. Pepper. Nice rosary beads, Mary. Oh, hi, Aidan and Brett.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello there.
We're about halfway to a crisis party.
A none of the above option.
Yeah, I didn't give you guys a none of the above option. I just said, look, you can abstain from voting if you so desire. But right now, Coke is in the lead with 40%, which is of course the wrong answer. The right answer. Somebody's in
there, like just absolutely miffed that there is no RC Cola option.
Oh, absolutely. No, there was a comment if somebody said I'm an RC Cola person.
I don't think you can get RC Cola where I live, aside from ordering it from the factory.
There's a black market for
you
RC
can,
Cola.
I've seen it once in Tennessee.
You can get it like in Minnesota. You could get it at the hardware store. Menards had it.
Just the hardware.
That was the only place I ever saw it, in like
Okay.
6 packs of like the smaller bottles.
I had this really good one called, it wasn't a cola, it was just a soda called Dr. Enough in Tennessee, and I can't get it anywhere else.
So is it generic?
No, it's not generic. It's like a local beverage.
It's not a generic Dr. Pepper.
No.
It's
like a Mountain Dew kind of. It's the same kind of idea as Mountain Dew, where Mountain Dew started as like a cocktail mixer.
Okay.
It's a similar taste, but not quite the same.
Okay.
A little bit less manufactured.
All right.
Dylan Sowell said, great job on IRL last night, Brett.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Hiroshima Otaru said, I just stick with innocent until proven guilty.
Yes. Yeah. That's the best thing you can do in these cases.
Hell yeah.
All right, let's hold off on the rest and we'll come back after the fact, shall we? Mary, what's going on with Emma Roberts, Ryan Murphy, American Horror Story, all sorts of stuff?
A new season of American Horror Story has just released with Kim Kardashian in it. It's called Delicate, but at the same time, a public scandal has come about because Angelica Ross, who was on the season American Horror Story 1984 with Emma Roberts, she has just made shots at Ryan Murphy, the showrunner, and Emma Roberts, who has starred in, I think, 6 seasons of the show so far.
Yeah.
She really
6
just
total.
like doesn't want to take other jobs.
It's good. If it's good money and they keep you coming back, keep doing your job.
So Angelica Ross, who is a trans actor, has accused Emma Roberts of being transphobic, making a specific transphobic comment on set when they were working together. It's a toxic workplace allegation.
Mean too.
Many such cases these days. Do you want to just play her Instagram live? It's very messy. There's really no sense of decorum and professionalism anymore. You could just go on Instagram live in your bathrobe and trash people you've worked with and post your private email screenshots and no repercussions. You're praised for it.
I want to say, like, the number one thing that I get out of all these types of claims is, like, it used to be a thing where it was a virtue to have to be a professional and be like, look, to have this discussion in private, not make it public.
Yeah.
But that will never happen because there's too much social cachet.
So she's posting this, and all the comments are like, "Yes, queen, spill the tea."
Yeah. Here we go. Let's watch this clip. The one from the bathroom.
I think so.
This one.
Yeah.
Standing in front of Emma, talking to her like this. And
They blurred out the chat because there are
she's
people
in
like
front of
literally
her,
inciting
back
her
against
to
the
beat up
mirror.
Emma Roberts in the chat.
Oh, good.
She goes, John, Angelica's being mean. And he goes, and I know she's being, she's not being for real. She's just being whatever. And John is like, okay, ladies, that's enough. Let's, get back to work. And she then looks at me and she goes, don't you mean lady? And she turns around like this.
It sounds fake.
Covering half her face.
Emma Roberts is just evil.
But it's funny because I know that's something Emma Roberts would do.
I also would just wonder, like, maybe I'm being naive, but I would ask the question, like, could she just have been, like, making a joke that only one of them was being ladylike?
Maybe.
Like,
Possibly. Or we could
that
go
would
with
be
the
where my
way more
brain
entertaining
jumps.
explanation,
Which is that she's just super
Emma
bigoted.
Roberts is a raging transphobe.
Here we go. Let's finish this video.
Emma Roberts is...
And I'm standing there looking.
Let's recap because I think people. So what happened was they were standing on set waiting for another take, and the director had to come up to them and say, "Ladies, let's get set."
No, they were like playfully arguing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Their
it was a playful
co-star, John Carroll Lynch, comes over and he is jokingly saying, "Okay, ladies, break it up." And Emma Roberts is like, "Don't you mean lady?"
And that is because Angelica Ross is trans.
And Emma Roberts is saying, "Because I'm a woman and you're not a real woman because you're trans." That's what she's accusing Emma Roberts
The
of
idea
saying.
I'm just trying to see the best in everyone.
The idea that somebody would do
Yeah.
that in modern day Hollywood is patently insane.
Someone like
Yeah,
Angelica
I would be pretty
Ross,
shocked if
she's not the one giving charitable interpretation.
Like they're saying like brave Emma for this. Like I don't buy for a second that she like. I'm sorry, but the idea that somebody in modern Hollywood would do this is insane.
It is a pretty...
You're asking for
like,
the end
wild,
of your career. I mean,
yeah.
if it's true, she has literally zero fear.
Yeah.
But there's no proof that anything happened
Exactly.
either.
I don't know if I buy that.
And this was back in 2018. Like, I don't know. Maybe the culture was different. Maybe she thought that was funny.
Her dead ass in the damn thing, and I'm like trying to process the fuck she just said.
The trauma.
And I'm like, I'm standing there and she walked away. My blood is boiling. Because I'm like,
All right, cut the cameras for real.
if I say
The rest of it is just like I was so indignant.
She was very angry.
But she says, I didn't go to report her to HR or whatever because somebody else had crossed her before and they got repercussions for doing so. So she's claiming Emma Roberts, she's first on the call sheet, she's the star, she throws her weight around in a very obnoxious way. And she was in charge on that set. It was like the same thing. You couldn't come forward with the allegations because you feared what would happen to you.
It's possible that in 2018 it wasn't. The climate might have still been a little bit different, and she might have been willing to make that joke. I don't buy that she was doing it to just be mean, but I could be completely wrong about that.
Well,
but
later on, she's like, "Hey, Angelica, why aren't you talking to me anymore?" So she doesn't realize that anything happened.
Well, it's because what you have to learn in a lot of these cases, like you have to have thick skin to work in that industry, to work in any of these industries. And what it does is when you are like, let's take her at face value and say that Emma Roberts did this, right? That this actually happened. Fine. Okay.
I'm like,
okay.
base.
Okay, fine. So it happened. Then by not going to a producer and talking about this, you're not in any way helping yourself, because decorum would dictate that, look, it sucks to have stuff like this happen to you, but you're sabotaging your own chance of getting work in the future, because if you look overly fragile, you're going to look like somebody who's just not worth bringing onto set, because it's going to be problematic to have you there, because you're going to find something to complain about. Even if you have 110% valid reason, because we all know that stars of shows can be entitled and awful. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely plausible. But part of playing the game is that you sometimes are going to just have to accept that your best bet is to complain to the people in charge. And if they don't do anything about it, you should move on with your career. And if you're going to complain about it, maybe don't do it a day before the new season comes out, so it feels unbelievably opportunistic.
I don't think that being difficult to work with is really treated the same way it used to be in Hollywood. Being difficult to work with is almost like something you get celebrated for at a certain point.
Well, one of the things that they complain about that is, like, they say when men are difficult to work with, it's celebrated. When women are difficult to work with, it's not.
Yeah.
So what if you're trans and you're difficult to work with?
You're just kind of difficult to work with.
And yeah, Angelica Ross has a history of doing this. Did an interview a while back about working on the set of Claws. It's a crime show about nail techs. I don't know.
Sounds great.
What?
She played a former exotic dancer in the show, and basically accused them on set of being transphobic because they didn't provide protective undergarments during a nude scene for tucking purposes.
So she was giving a lap dance.
Basically, this was a scene where she's hovered over some guy and then flips off of him. And, quote, "It was one of the hardest things for me to do because I was pre-op. These garments aren't made for trans people." Ross tells the outlet she never received a nudity garment, which is often used in TV sex scenes, and her experiences on set didn't make her feel affirmed.
Okay, I need to ask the question. What do you think logically that actually means? Like, that's a real question. I want to know what, judging by their own definition of these words, what does it mean to feel affirmed?
It means, in order to feel affirmed, then you need to tuck your penis up into your butt. That's what that means.
Yes.
Like, I'm sorry, why are we entertaining this insanity anymore?
And the thing is, it'll never be enough when you take these characters and you make these things based on and judge things based on emotions rather than on just who can do the job the best, right? Like, anytime they hire someone who is known of any race, gender, sexuality, identity, anybody that's going to be known to come out and blatantly dunk on what's going on a show that they were a part of, you're going to be seen as high risk because nobody wants to invite that into their next production.
But increasingly, because Angelica Ross is fitting into this like trans WOC category, you're gonna get roles anyway because it's representation.
Yeah, well, oh, go ahead.
I'm just wondering why, as an actor, you would go out for a role as like an exotic dancer who has to wear the bare minimum clothing.
Yeah.
If you're not comfortable doing it.
If you're not comfortable doing it, exactly. Like, it's Hollywood. You're an actor. You're going to be asked to do stuff that might be a little less than comfortable. You got to be aware of that going into it. Like, I can't give a ton of details, but I once had a producer put on a ton of lipstick and kiss me all over the face for a role. So,
okay, I want more details.
I can give them to you off camera.
Okay.
I really do think that one of the highest signs of privilege in the culture now is to be able to take, like, oh, we haven't even gotten to the, like, so, and also the Ryan Murphy stuff.
So she's also taken shots at Ryan Murphy, the showrunner for American Horror Story, because back in 2020, in the Summer of Love, he got all fired up about being an anti-racist and a good white guy. And he had this genius idea to do an American Horror Story season starring all black women. And he emailed Angelica Ross the following: "Remember your idea about a horror season starring black women? Well, I'm doing it. Not sure of the story yet, but we will start a writer's room in the fall. Along with you, who are the 4 women I should get? I think you, Keke Palmer, Gabby, not sure of the 4th. So in any professional email, I don't think you should start it with yes in all caps.
Yeah.
But that is what Angelica typed, giving a lot of suggestions, a long list of casting suggestions. And then Ryan Murphy ghosted. He had nothing else to say on the topic.
Oof. It's like when you know what it's like? It's like when your friend asks you to hang out on Friday and you're in a good mood and you agree to do it, and then Friday comes around and you're like, ugh, I don't feel like it now.
It's just kind of bad practice to be posting screenshots of private work emails years after the fact just to get back at someone for a perceived slight. Like, the slight is literally that, for whatever reason, probably a totally benign one, he
Something
didn't end
related
up
to logistics.
following through on his idea. But she posted this on Twitter along with a quote from this trendy new book that's getting turned into a Hulu series called The Other Black Girl. It says, as Nella considered why she distrusted needles and pins so much, she considered what Jesse said about white people who went out of their way to present diversity. With heightened awareness of cultural sensitivity comes great responsibility. If we're not careful, diversity might become an item people start checking off a list and nothing more.
It's
a
been
shallow,
might become
shadowy
an item?
thing with but one dimension. And I think with a lot of celebrities, they're like so close to getting it. They're so close to getting why this whole DEI thing is a total farce.
In a screenwriting class in the year 2020 AD, I had a professor tell me that if I wanted my script to sell in Hollywood, I had to include people of character, gay characters. I was writing a period piece set in Wales in 1400. You know what there weren't a lot of there?
Yeah.
Africans. Yeah. You know what there are even fewer of? Africans who were particularly concerned with Welsh politics.
We just talked about Mads Mikkelsen and the reporter who was talking about that for a Danish period piece that they made, and they're like, "There's no diversity in this project," because and they weren't judging him. They were saying like, "Look, does it bother you that this project won't be eligible for a Best Picture Oscar because of the new requirements that have been put in place by the Academy?" And
it should.
Yeah,
like that's it. Yeah. Angelica Ross has hit the nail on the head. Gets the point. Like
almost.
It's yeah. But like it is a checkbox now. That is all it is. They only are casting. If you are an actor of color, there is a solid chance you were only cast to check a box now, rather than you were cast because you were so talented that you had to have the role.
Right.
So it's going to give people that idea of like diversity hires. Even more so now in Hollywood, because now every movie has to have characters that fit these requirements.
And for a lot of like, I think a lot of them have just accepted that it doesn't bother. Like, I think a lot of people are so they're so in favor of their career. They want to succeed so bad. They've just accepted that they don't care that it's checking a box. That as long as it furthers their career,
a lot of them don't mind being a charity case, when in years past that in a different culture, being perceived as a victim or a charity case would have felt really degrading for people. And now I think they're just either okay with it or they're proud of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sad. It's really funny. I watch old movies and television shows where people talk about how they don't want to be seen as a victim. I'm like, oh man, the good old days back in all of 2013 or 2014, back when that wasn't as big of a deal. To me, it feels like a certain level of privilege to be able to air out these types of failed business dealings as something positive for you, rather than just something that happened. Like, it's painting this guy in a negative light in a way that he doesn't deserve to be painted, because any number of things could have happened to prevent this from coming forward.
Yeah. As if a white person has never been ghosted by a Hollywood showrunner before.
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole stereotype, is that Hollywood is about, finding your ability to accept rejection, right? Because you just get rejected over and over and over, and you're promised things after getting rejected too. Like, oh, we'll have you on for a guest appearance, or, oh, we'll have you do some screenwriting for the show. Promises that people make that they knowingly aren't going to follow through on.
Yeah.
And you just have to accept that. It's not a thing about race. Like, he didn't ghost you because of your race or because he's some kind of like fake activist. I mean, I'm sure he is.
Yeah.
I'm sure he was pitching that idea for like, you know, social brownie points.
It just seems like a really rough business to have to be in. Like, I would never want to have to live in that ecosystem.
For someone this fragile.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like if you just can't take that you didn't get the role, like it's not something I would want to have to be a part of. It just sounds really, really awful. And that is like a lot of the actors talk about that. It's like they talk about the same in publishing, right? Like if you want to work in publishing, if you want to be an author, you're going to have to learn how to deal with rejection. You're going to have to be able to deal with very, very harsh critique of your work. And that's not always easy. It's a very difficult thing to have to do.
Another thing that's getting rehashed right now because people are mentioning Emma Roberts is the fact that she was arrested for domestic violence against Evan Peters when they were dating back in 2013. And there are paparazzi photos after her arrest of him comforting her while she's like crying about getting arrested for
He's like,
domestic violence.
He's like, I'm sorry you
him.
felt you had to hit me.
Yeah, and then it was like posted on aesthetic accounts. It's like,
Was it like that?
a meme now.
That it was a misunderstood call?
I don't think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she was like charged with that.
You know what? Now that I'm thinking back on my own life experiences, yeah, I can see that.
From Evan Peters' perspective.
Yep. I'm like, you know what?
I can fix
Not
it.
out of the realm of possibility.
I just wonder how many of these acts, because this is kind of unique to the culture now, right? Like where it wouldn't have been a virtue 10 years ago, 20 years ago. You'd have been labeled as problematic, but some of these people just have so much social credit going on right now that they know that it's not going to affect their ability to get work, and then everybody has to tiptoe around you, and that sucks.
And
right?
Ryan Murphy is going to have to make a statement, and Emma Roberts is going to have to make a statement.
Yep.
It's made by their PR agent.
It'll sound nothing like an actual human being.
Yeah.
No, because nobody actually talks like that.
So
Statement
Emma Roberts
it's
is a transphobe, confirmed.
Yeah.
It was just a prank, bro.
Yeah, that should be everybody's reaction to everything. Like, or what did Shuan Head say the other? She goes, she says, everything I say is a joke unless you agree with me.
Yeah, I kind of like Tim's strategy of just saying, you know, enough nonsense that you can never accuse him of being serious.
Yeah,
Like-
that's perfect. It's perfect.
It's a perfect equilibrium.
Yeah.
You have to.
Was he serious? Wasn't he serious? Because the people who are going to take everything you say as serious are going to do that anyways. So better to have deniability. All right, let's go to Super Chats.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Don't forget that even in media, we don't see strong father figures. When is the last time we had a dad on TV that wasn't an idiot used for comic relief?"
It's in a lot of ways in movies you don't see a whole lot of it, and if they do, I guess Chris Pratt is kind of played as a strong father figure in Jurassic.
John Krasinski played a really good father figure in A Quiet Place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It exists. I wish I had like an answer off the top of my head of some more like specific examples.
Pedro Pascal in The Last of
Yeah,
Us.
I mean,
Pedro Pascal in basically everything that he's been in recently is just him being a dad.
Yeah.
he's the unproblematic.
They call him the unproblematic
Yeah.
daddy.
Yeah. So if you ever watch the show Blue Bloods, Danny, the main character played by Donnie Wahlberg, he's like a stronger father figure because he's the main character, and then
Imagine being named Donnie and having a character named Danny.
Yeah. And then his dad, played by Tom Selleck, is a strong father figure, raised kids. So yeah, there you go.
There are
It's
some.
it's a boomer show, so it doesn't have any of the sway on the younger generation.
My girlfriend and I have been watching Outlander, which I will say has had a surprisingly positive depiction of men, especially
Okay.
men in the 1700s. It also, I mean, some of them are depicted absolutely horribly, but it's very like honest and nuanced. It's not all men suck or all men are great. But that's been one that I've been like, okay, all right. It might be inadvertent watching the show.
So
I'm not sure what angle the writer was coming from, but that is one that's been doing a good job. I would recommend.
I would say most of the time it's on accident.
Probably.
Like, most of the time I feel like it's on accident.
Have you seen Outlander?
I have not.
Okay, yeah.
That's been eternally in my queue.
It is worth watching. It's good.
Speaking of another drama or another like comedy drama from that time period, like Blue Bloods, in the show Castle, he's portrayed as kind of a goof, but he's got a very, very strong relationship with his daughter, and he's a single dad. In the show, his mom or her mom isn't dead or anything. She's like a vapid actress who just comes in and out as she pleases.
Deadbeat mom.
And he's the one who actually takes care of everyone. And they kind of run this line where he's both quirky and very much immature, but also very much like not immature with his daughter. In the pilot episode, he's at like a book premiere for himself, or at like one of his book launches, and his daughter's there, and he like offers her a glass of champagne, and she's always portrayed as like overly adult, like she's always more mature than him, but like he offers her a glass of champagne and she says no. She's like, I'm only 15. He's like, you're an old soul. But then after that pilot, they never went that way again. He was always overly protective the rest of the show because they felt like his like the man boy charm works with the adults, but it doesn't really work with like a child character. And you just wouldn't see that level of nuance with a lot of TV dads after that.
You know what I think the biggest issue with it in terms of TV dads is it's not with adult shows for adults, it's with kids shows. Like, have you think back to, like, I don't know if you watched Disney or Nick when you were growing up or you, but like when I look back on it, very rarely were the father characters anything aside from comic relief. Like, they've rarely had a moment where they were a good dad.
In the kids shows on Disney and Nick, I think there was a running theme of dead moms.
Or
just absent moms in general, which is really weird. I think it's mainly, I mean, the pragmatic reason for it is you don't have to cast and then pay another person.
And you don't have to write a parental relationship between the two adults.
Yeah, it cleans things up, but it is weird. Like Hannah Montana, Dead Mom, iCarly. They did this in like the reboot of iCarly where they're adults. They like explained the backstory as to why Carly and Spencer
dad was on a submarine and they had a very expensive apartment and didn't have a mom. Yeah.
And the mom
is the
apparently
reboot worth
abandoned
watching?
the family.
Oh, I
and
assumed she
gave
was
them
dead.
abandonment issues, which is like why they said they can't keep relationships. It was all just like, it seems bad.
Is the show worth watching?
No, it seems like a stinker.
That's unfortunate.
Veronica Mars, back in the early 2000s, the dad was she worked for her dad at his private investigations firm. He was a good dude.
It is truly impressive how you managed to work Veronica Mars into every single one of the conversations we have.
Has been a while.
Every single I've been here 7 times. Every single time.
When you were here the last time for like the week, it's because I was watching it at that time. So if I'm watching something, it will find it just because it's on your brain.
Yeah,
at that
I know
time.
what you mean.
But I was thinking about it because I was watching. I was watching something with Enrico Colantoni, who plays the dad in that show recently, and I haven't watched it in a while. But he plays the dad in that show, and he's for the most part a responsible father.
The Last of My Kind said it needs to be added to Brett Recommends Dirty Work, starring the late greats Norm Macdonald and Artie Lang. Follow them while they play pranks for 90 minutes.
I haven't seen Dirty Work in a long, long time. I'll have to watch that again this weekend.
Why is somebody asking if I'm partially deaf?
Brett is.
I'm deaf in my right ear.
I've been having migraines for 3 days straight, so I'm a little like, but
we're all kind of out of it.
Let's hold off on the rest and come back after the fact. We're about 3/4 of the way to a crisis party. Mary, what is going on with Tim Ballard?
Another person who has just gotten a bunch of Me Too allegations in the media.
It never ends.
It really is a never-ending cycle. Tim Ballard, who was played by Jim Caviezel in Sound of Freedom, just got hit with allegations that he was guilty of misconduct against fellow anti-trafficking activists in Operation Underground Railroad on undercover missions. And this includes allegedly sending one of them a picture of him in his underwear with fake tattoos, like, hey, how does my disguise look? Asking women that went on missions with him, how far are you willing to go, or how far are you willing to take this? Our ruse as a married couple or as a couple on this mission to save the children. Are you willing to share a shower with me? Are you willing to share a bed with me? Things like this. And none of it is proven. We don't have proof for any of it. But it started out with a letter that was getting sent to donors for anti-trafficking organizations in Utah.
Yeah.
And that's where all this came from.
What was
and then
the
Vice
letter?
put out a report on it. Basically, the letter was anonymously written to donors of OUR.
Gotcha.
To let them know that Tim Ballard was under investigation, and then he stepped down in June. You said that it was for a different reason.
His claim was that it was for founding the Spear Fund to direct funds towards all trafficking organizations, not just OUR. That was his claim. That was his claim on Tim's show, actually.
Yeah.
Well, that looks better for him because Vice is
That
saying
looks a lot better for him.
basically the sole reason he stepped down was because of his misconduct investigation.
So here's the thing about Vice.
They're liars.
It is their coverage of Tim Ballard and Operation Underground Railroad is some of the most deliberately deceptive BS I've read in my entire life. This is how I ended up being here today, but I have a video over on my channel, The Lore Lodge, that is the true story of Sound of Freedom. And back at the end of August, it was copyright struck. It was removed by the Estonian Organization for Copyright Protection, whose email address Google gives you the option to like reach out and be like, hey, what was this about? Can we like settle this? Mm-hmm. And it was a non-functional email address. It took Google over a month and me complaining on like 4 different platforms, and they finally reinstated the video last night.
Total Karen about it.
Yeah.
How long did it take?
A month.
So all of the hype around it gone.
Mm-hmm. All the hype. They already ad restricted it, but any other revenue I would have gotten gone. And the thing is, I mean, I'm trying not to be conspiratorial about that because I was so irritated with so many conspiracies about the Sound of Freedom stuff, like oh my god, the air conditioning in the movie theater wasn't working. Well, it's in 3,000 theaters a day across the country for multiple showings. Yeah, the AC is going to break once a day somewhere.
I mean, the fact that it happened here to people that I know I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that one.
Yeah.
I'm actually more on the conspiratorial lens.
From what I understand, a lot of the criticisms were leveled at AMC specifically, and Tim Ballard was like, no, AMC's been awesome for us. Like, they've been so supportive. But my point in saying that was like, when I was doing the research for that video, it's 2 hours long. It is a 2-hour video on this movie. It is longer than the movie itself. I went and I dug through and I was looking at Vice, Media Matters. I was looking at the Daily Beast, everywhere, all the left wing, all the right wing, as many court documents and official records as I could find. And what I found was, without fail, every time Vice claimed something, it was untrue. It wasn't that it was necessarily false, but it was as far as you could possibly spin it before breaking it. And it was point after point after point, every single thing. I go through them in an itemized way in my video if you want to check it out. But yeah, it was like they were just constant lies. And what frustrated me as well about it was that there were places where Sound of Freedom fudged the truth. There were places where OUR may have made a mistake and not publicized it very much. There were places where Tim may have screwed something up and made a mistake, all in pursuit of doing the right thing, but, it wasn't as out in the open as it could have been. But Vice didn't go for those things.
Kind of like the Andrew Tate thing with Willie Mack, where they went for the low-hanging fruit rather than the actual facts that would have been better portrayed.
Yeah, they could have been honest. They could have gone into the investigation where he went into, I think it was Haiti or the Dominican Republic, and it's the mission that the movie is inspired by when they go into the jungle in Colombia. But they went in there and they brought in a full camera crew, and there were, they ended up scaring some people off. There was one situation where they did rescue, it was the same one actually. They rescued a bunch of kids in the Dominican Republic. They got them to a shelter, and then it turned out that the shelter didn't have the capacity and ended up releasing all of them. So they ended up back on the street. But what happened was, it wasn't that OUR released them back onto the street or that OUR was taking care of them. They ended up back on the street. It was that OUR chose the wrong partner, and the partner failed. So rather than going after that and saying, OUR, is trying to do the right thing, but they have bad judgment, Vice instead was like, OUR is not even trying to do the right thing. They're just trying to be like the saviors of everybody and kick everybody else out of the space. And that's not the truth.
Because they want them to be guilty of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're going to see this stuff more and more because he's running
Yeah.
he's running for office now. So that's an even bigger reason to at least lay a little bit of doubt at the idea that something like this is guilty, because politically motivated attacks are always going to happen.
And it's fascinating if you go back and you look through the coverage of Tim Ballard since 2014. You see he is the first stuff lionized. Everyone, he is a hero to everybody. And then as he starts to do things, say things, appear for Trump and stuff like that, they start to, you can see the media turn on him as he starts to show more and more of his conservative colors. So I have a very hard time when I look at the stuff with Tim Ballard, having read so much of it, believing that this is not an escalation that is due to him running for Senate.
Yeah, it's scary too, because these things are going to keep happening. And like we said before, it really does come down to the fact that people are going to make their mind up, yes or no. Like somebody in the chat earlier said, so are we saying that Russell Brand is guilty and Tim Ballard is innocent? Are we saying that Russell Brand is innocent and Tim Ballard is guilty? At the end of the day, we don't know.
I'm saying I want to see some evidence before you try and, if you're going to put somebody's name out there, you better have a damn good case.
Yeah, once again, the women, this is from 7 women alleging these things against Tim Ballard. They were anonymous, once again, out of fear of retaliation, but also they said it's because they fear the repercussions that OUR will get from them going public with their allegations. So from this letter, here's a quote from the letter. "It was ultimately revealed through disturbingly specific and parallel accounts that Tim has been deceitfully and extensively grooming and manipulating multiple women for the past few years with the ultimate intent of coercing them to participate in sexual acts with him under the premise of going where it takes and doing whatever it takes to save children." And he made a TikTok recently responding to this investigation, being like, expect more lies. The only thing I haven't been accused of doing at this point is murder. So expect them to accuse me of murder next, which isn't the greatest refutation of the accusations. But he also put out a full statement saying, "As with all of the assaults on my character and integrity over many years, the latest tabloid-driven sexual allegations are false. They are baseless inventions designed to destroy me and the movement we have built to end the trafficking and exploitation of vulnerable children." He says, given meticulous attention to this issue, any suggestion of inappropriate sexual contact is categorically false. And then he pointed attention to the Spear Fund, which I guess is his new thing. I wasn't even aware that he stepped down from OUR.
I was, and the other thing that rings alarm bells for me with this, and again, if evidence comes out, I am perfectly happy to acknowledge it and change my tune on this, but just... There was that story like a month ago where it was, funder of Sound of Freedom arrested for child pornography charges or something like that. And it turned out to be some random dude who donated like $50 to the crowdfunding. And they portrayed it as if this guy was like a major donor to the film. So when the coverage is that dishonest and you come out and you say this, like had that article not come out, I would have been more willing to believe this.
Well, there's another report that you found today, Brett, of a guy who actually was an executive producer for the movie Sound of Freedom. His name is Paul Hutchison.
Yes.
Correct? He's been investigated for allegedly groping the breasts of a underage or not underage trafficking victim in Mexico in 2016.
Yep.
And he says this person was over 18 at the time this happened, but the story, it sounds really bad. And when you look into it, it's still weird, but not as bad.
The headline is designed to make
this
it,
to mislead the traffickers he's trying to deceive and get prosecuted. Okay.
Yeah. Basically, a trafficker asks him if he wants to grope a woman.
Yeah, and the traffickers in this recorded conversation are saying she's 16. He says she was over 18. Mexican police already investigated it and didn't press charges against him because they probably found out that she was over 18 at the time this happened. But he says, I still stand by the integrity of all my actions when I was on these missions, and I'm glad that we did the work we did. He basically says, like, I had good reason for doing this to deceive the criminals.
Yeah,
it's undercover work. He's literally
giving it a charitable.
It's like questionable stuff that I would never want to get involved in because of questions that arise like this.
Yeah.
It's messy.
Yeah.
But like when you're in that situation, what do you do?
The charitable way of looking at it, in my opinion, is that the situation they were in called for him to make the decision, do I blow my cover and they get away for good?
Yeah.
Or do I do something that is not good, but we might be able to save the kids?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's kind of the situation. Is he was... I would like to believe that he was weighing this decision between let them get away or, sexually assault somebody.
If the stuff that Tim Ballard is accused of doing is true, like that's obviously sleazy and gross.
It didn't seem like anything Tim Ballard was accused of was necessarily a crime, but that it was like not good behavior at all. Like reprehensible behavior, but not crime.
His statement, he denied the accusations in a statement and said that he had strict guidelines for myself and our operators in the field. Quote, sexual contact was prohibited and I led by example. Given our meticulous attention to this issue, any suggestion of inappropriate sexual contact is categorically false. That is his claim to the...
So they're saying he did it. He's saying he didn't do it.
And at the end of the day,
what do we do now?
At the end of the day, the news articles just want to smear him. I don't buy that the people at Vice give a crap about victims. I think that they see him as a politically motivated person in the space, and they want to be able to discredit him. And like you said, you found a lot of their coverage to be dishonest. Aidan.
Yeah, right? It was. I don't remember the exact wording I used, but it was. I have never seen someone approach a lie so closely without breaking the truth.
Mm-hmm. Can you give an example?
Oh boy. Off the top of my head, it would be really hard, to be honest.
Well, did some of your video consist of like just your take on the movie itself, like without that context?
Yeah, some of the way the video that I did was structured was I basically opened it by being like, here's what the movie's about. Yeah. Here's the actual plot points of the movie. Here's what the people involved with the movie say actually happened, the changes that were made. Here are the criticisms of the film and how well they stand up to scrutiny. And then the final part was just going over the actual statistics and what people can do to help and how to recognize the signs of sex trafficking, things like that.
Do you think it was a well-made movie?
I think the movie was perfectly decent. I would say it was like a 7 out of 10 movie. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was a good movie. It was very heavy, emotional, hard-hitting. And I don't think it's the kind of thing that you would like casually watch on a weekend.
No.
But it makes you think and it makes you feel about an important subject, and I think that is a net positive.
That's a movie with a positive, strong male role model, because there are scenes with him and his family.
Yeah.
With him and his family in the movie, and he's
a very good father.
He's portrayed as somebody who is very much family-oriented and cares about all children and all living beings, right? So there's an example of a good father figure, but that's something that they want to tear down. And again, like more than anything, I think it's the political. I think that the if it wasn't for him running for office, that this would have died out of the news cycle by now. But the fact that he's going to run for office, they're like ramp up the smearing.
And then the director, is thinking about running for
president of Mexico.
In Mexico. I'm sure they're trying to dig things up on his character as well.
That is a position.
Imagine,
I would be so terrified to run for any political office in Mexico. It's like, I don't know why you would ever want to do that.
Literally, the only position worse would be running for police chief.
Yeah,
he's just living life on hard mode.
Like he's like, but can I govern from America?
Exactly. Can I govern from a compound in like
New
Vermont?
Mexico. I'll go to New Mexico. I'm not going to Mexico to be the president, right?
Come on, guys. Mexico isn't that bad.
Yeah, it's like it's crazy, but like that's
true.
Ain't
safe to be a politician.
No, but like all the so there's multiple people from the movie that are all running for some type of political office, and they've been smearing Jim Caviezel in the media for years and years and years and years. So that's what you get into though when you choose a topic that has unfortunately become something that's divisive in our culture, where that movie had to be labeled faith-based, and then we had to endure weird, creepy people who had like pro-pedo posts in the past telling you why this movie is bad.
Yeah, I did not like that.
That was disgusting. So Yeah, let's hope that it's and the guy who's running in Mexico is also very religious, right? Like he was like he was running, he was on like it was like family, faith,
family, faith, freedom.
Yeah, so there's a lot for the mainstream establishment to hate in these people.
Definitely.
Let's go to super chats.
Woohoo! Leonardo Derp Caprio said RC Cola supremacy. It just goes better with rum.
Look, I got no problem with RC Cola. And right now,
Do some
ladies
people
and gentlemen,
drink Pepsi with rum? Never heard of that.
I mean, dark cola of any sort would probably be fine with dark liquor. Right now, Dr. Pepper is in the lead with 42%. Coke is behind
crazy.
with 39%. I'm disgusted by Pepsi's lack of a showing here today.
I'm gonna stick with my lemon sorbet sparkling water. Thank you very much.
Kevin Sorbo should get a sponsorship from Sorbet.
Yeah, he should have a sorbet company.
He should.
Sorbo sorbet.
I can't say that.
Absolutely.
Leonardo Derp Caprio said, why should we expect garments to be made for trans people when even their own bodies weren't made for them? You just can't please some people.
Also, I want to thank Derp Caprio. He's getting us to a crisis party. We're getting there, guys. We're getting there.
Nasta B said, yo, Brett, how is it hanging with Kevin Sorbo? Great to have Aidan on the show, and you're pretty neat too, Mary. Thanks for the entertainment.
Well, thank you.
Mary's neato.
And we are very, very happy to provide that entertainment. It was very cool to meet Kevin Sorbo's. Like, there's a lot of actors, like when you follow Hollywood closely, and especially if you exist in this space where you pay attention to like who's been blacklisted, who's this. He is right when he says I was the first cancel culture victim in Hollywood. He was essentially excommunicated for his viewpoints because he decided to speak out. Back in the day when the internet became more and more commonplace, and his manager and then basically said like, look, we can't work with you anymore.
Well, Madonna thinks she was the first one to get canceled in Hollywood.
Yes. Maybe by just no.
She would vote Pepsi today.
Oh, well, I'm with her on that. Like, I'm with her on the voting for Pepsi thing, but it was very, very cool to get to talk to him. And he just knows, like, he would go off and he would start talking. He just knows so much about what goes on in the industry. It was crazy. Also, he showed us this trailer for an old movie of his called Let There Be Light, I think it was called, which I'd never seen. Had Michael Francis in it, the retired gangster who's now like a very famous YouTuber. You ever watch his channel?
No.
He makes great he came on my radar because he does like ex-mobster reviews mob movies, which is a no-brainer. It's the greatest thing ever to watch this dude. Like, he's like, this is bullshit. This would happen this way. Like, you know, he's got the inside track on stuff like that. But he's a great interview. He does a lot of great interviews with other people. And I'm watching this trailer, and like, I didn't want to sound stupid on the stream, so I just double-checked just to be sure. I'm like, is that Michael Francis? But then I still posed it as a question when I asked him, like, I double-checked, went to IMDb, made sure I was right.
Super humble, Brett.
Made sure I was right, and then asked the question, which is not nice on my part.
Shane H. Wilder said, damned Estonians.
Damned Estonians.
Yep.
The Last of My Kind said, correction, Artie Lang has not passed away. Chris Farley, whom also is in the movie, is the one who passed away.
Yep. And then one more.
Shane H. Wilder said, this is why I could never work undercover. I could not in good conscience do some of the things that would need to be done to not blow my cover.
I still don't know what the rules are. Like they talk a lot about how like if you're undercover doing drug buys, are you forced to actually use the product? Because as far as I know, cops are not allowed to do that. And it's scary because you're dealing with dangerous people. We were just talking yesterday about El Chapo, who said, like, they basically said that the dude got he earned part of his stripes by he was just ruthless. Like, runners would show up 10 minutes late and he'd just shoot him in the head. So when you're dealing with people that are evil and you know that they'll kill you on a moment's notice for looking the wrong way, like, who wants to willingly put themselves in that position and then also have to answer? It's kind of like what it's where a lot of that original indignancy would come from cops when politicians would question their actions, right?
Yeah.
Like who are you to?
You should have shot him in the pinky and then talked him out of
you should have
his
shot him.
PCP-filled rage.
You should have shot him in the foot and then called a social worker and then waited quietly
and then bought him ice cream.
Exactly.
If you ever have the opportunity with somebody who's like, why don't they just shoot him in the shin or something like that?
I've never shot a gun
If you
before.
have an opportunity to hand them a handgun and just ask them to hold it straight, and then film the gun, the barrel of the gun, and show it to them, and just be like, all right, now pump your adrenaline up, and they might be shooting back, and go. Like, you shoot them in the leg.
It's like when they tell them to shoot the tires out in a movie, and I'm like, have you ever tried to read a book in a car that's moving? And you're like, the car is going back and forth. It's like, it's not that easy.
Right.
Yep. All right, let's go ahead and get back on topic then, shall we? So, in our ever widening search for cringe, Mary is unbelievable at finding cringe. Well, I found some very, very big cringe, ladies and gentlemen. What did Howard Stern say?
Howard Stern, former radio shock jock, current woke recluse, said, "I'm woke, mother effer, and I love it."
Well, if woke means you think 13-year-olds are hot, then
that's what he believes.
Yep.
We'll get to that.
Yep.
We'll get to that. But let's play that clip of him. He's basically saying, you know, not only is he woke, but he loves being woke. And if you're not woke, you're asleep.
That as a compliment. By the way, I kind of take that as a compliment that I'm woke. I'll tell you how I feel about it. To me, the opposite of woke is being asleep. And if woke means I can't get behind Trump, which is what I think it means, or that
That's not what that means.
That's not what woke
I know
means.
plenty of people who don't give a crap about Trump or don't like Trump that are not what you're categorize them as.
Yeah,
But
like-
let's continue.
I support people who want to be transgender or I'm for the vaccine. Well, dude, call me woke as you fucking want. I'm not for stupidity. You know, I ran out Friday morning. I was over at CVS. Thank you, CVS. I went over there 9 a.m. and got myself that new vaccine for
Crack-a-dawn.
COVID. Fucking science. This fucking country is so great. By the way,
Science.
here's the first
Science
problem.
is doing a vaccine that doesn't work over and over and over and over and over again.
But the best part is it's him saying the vax. Like, he doesn't say what won, what was it. He's just kind of general about it. Yeah, it's really cringy.
It's I just don't get, like, they think that it's like a point system. Like, you get points for each new vaccine booster you take, even though it doesn't prevent transmission, and we know that. Like, you get points for saying the right slogans. You get points for posting the right infographic. It's like they're just trying to collect them, and they have no concept of what they actually might be doing to the world around them through their actions.
Yeah. Well, he's
a
just
dinosaur from a different era, running from his controversial past, which is what got him to the place he is today.
That's the other thing that kind of pisses me off with guys like Howard Stern specifically, is like, who the hell is this guy to tell me what's moral?
Yep.
Considering the things he has done and said in the past, he has said more offensive things about every single group of people on Earth than I ever could.
I mean, look up the way he talked about Selena. Look at the way that he treated Anna Nicole Smith. And then we found this clip of him talking about Columbine in 1999. Literally the day after Columbine.
here we go.
It's chaos, shooting, and boy, a bunch of good-looking girls go to that school. That guy was right. The guy who called in, he was a little too excited, but there was like really good-looking girls running out of there with their hands over their heads.
Yeah, I say the bomb teams are still working.
Did those kids try to have sex with any of the good-looking girls? They didn't even do that. At least if you're going to go kill yourself and kill all the kids, like, why wouldn't you have some sex?
I think the word you're looking for there, Howard, is rape. First of all,
I'm gonna feel completely confident in not taking advice from this dude.
but what drives a person to have that thought was the question I asked you before the show. It was like,
I mean, I don't think he had that thought in any type of actual capacity. I think that back then was just an era where you had to say the most offensive thing possible, and you were rewarded for it, and that's fine.
it wouldn't even occur to me, you know.
The point is that it's fine. The difference is he believes that he's pulled the ladder up behind him now, and you were allowed to be that way in 1999, but now suddenly to do that that is a judgment on you as a person. Whereas back then, it's not him as a person. He's just a shock jock. But they don't believe that that exists anymore.
Right.
They believe that you are what you say on every single topic. Whereas other people would give him the benefit of the doubt and say, he's just doing it to get a rise out of people. He's just doing it to be shocking, which is lame, but it was part of the culture back then. But if you were to do that now, he would judge you harshly. And that's not even the worst of it. The worst of it is the fact that he talks about how he hates Trump, but then he kind of caveats and says, look, I don't hate him. I hate you for voting for him.
Right.
His audience.
Which is way worse.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I
don't hate politicians. I hate the common man. Like,
and of course,
that
Howard
makes
Stern,
you look bad.
He was buddies with Trump.
Yeah.
Like for years.
He says, he would go on the show all the time.
In what sense do you mean buddies?
Like he would have Trump on as a guest all the time and be buddy with him.
Yeah. So he says, I don't hate Donald. I hate you for voting for him, for not having intelligence. Yeah. Well, I don't exactly believe that Howard Stern himself is the benchmark for intelligence.
No.
Just me, right? Like that doesn't seem right. He says, the oddity in all of this is the people Trump despises most love him the most. The people who are voting for Trump, for the most part, he wouldn't even let them in the effing hotel. He'd be disgusted by them. Go to Mar-a-Lago, see if there are any people who look like you. I'm talking to you in the audience. His audience knows that and understands that the people who love him the most, there's absolutely ridiculously cringe, over the top fans of Trump. That's a thing. That's fine. Whatever. Do your thing. But the average person who's voting for him based on policy and what they now call revenge are doing it because he's not supposed to be the everyman. He's supposed to be the dude who comes in and wrecks stuff on your behalf, but for his own selfish reasons. They understand that his reasons for doing it are selfish, but it's to your benefit as the voter.
Also, was it not Barack Obama who said that the American dream was to be Donald Trump?
Yes.
Like the reason people loved Trump before he was a politician was because he was American success personified in the 1990s and the 80s. Like he was the guy. He was the American success. It didn't matter that he started off rich. He was what everybody wanted to be. They all wanted to live in a tower with their name on it in New York. This guy was one of those role models, being like Trump was being like an astronaut for kids in the 60s, for, the finance guys on Wall Street, the real estate investors.
Did you see that video of Robert Downey Jr.? He spends like a day at Wall Street, and then they interview him, and he talks about how disgusted he was by it.
No.
I'm gonna see if I can find. It's really
When was
interesting.
that?
It was like back in the. He was doing it for. He was like he was researching for a role. I'm gonna see if I can find that video.
But yeah, they just don't get it. The reason these kinds of people are popular is because it's aspirational.
Yeah.
The working class guy working at a pizza shop, who's watching The Apprentice when he gets home from work at night, isn't watching it because he thinks that Trump is a religious scholar. He's watching it because he wants to be that.
I love it when they're like, Trump, what's your favorite Bible verse? All of them. I don't believe that you're religious, but to the average person, they understand that you're going along to get along.
Yeah.
Do you believe he's religious? Do you believe?
In some sense, I'm sure he believes in God.
Do you think he says I'm spiritual?
I don't know what he says.
Here, let's watch this video of Robert Downey Jr. This one always.
Whoa, he looks so different.
If
That's
money
crazy.
is evil, then that building is hell. This is the most obnoxious group of money-hungry, low IQ, high energy, jackrabbit, fucking wannabe, big-time, small-time, shit-talking, bothersome, irritating bunch of motherfuckers I have ever had to endure for more than 5 minutes.
That's coming from a guy who's from Hollywood.
Now, to be fair, I don't know how much time you guys have spent around finance bros, but
let the cocaine flow.
He's not wrong.
No, he's not. but the problem is it's glitz.
You ever been in a frat house?
It's throwing stones inside glass houses.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's like so you go to studio to meetings with big studio executives who are the pinnacle of disgusting for society, and you're telling me that that's not to be judged too. I guess he's not necessarily saying that.
He's gone off the woke deep end as well.
Yes,
just like Howard Stern did.
It is the pot calling the kettle black.
Which is sad because he was actually one of the best parts of Oppenheimer. Like I loved him in Oppenheimer.
And he had that really good interview with Joe Rogan where he totally recognized the way things are moving and how it's preventing good art and honesty and all of that.
Somebody says, like, was this Robert Downey Jr. pre or post rehab? Like, look, he turned his life around.
It looks like that's pre-rehab.
Like, he gets all the credit in the world for turning his life around and making something out of a bad situation. But it is just funny how so much of it has changed. Like, I was watching an episode of I don't even remember the show. It was like a show called Numbers the other day. And the episode is about an evil pharmaceutical company that's trying to track down people that were infected with a drug they put out and basically take them out. And it's really funny because like on the reviews of the episode, people are saying like, more Hollywood anti-pharmaceutical big business propaganda. I'm like, oh, how things have changed in just less than 2 decades, where now they would be like, yes, big pharma, it's great. This commercial or this episode brought to you by Moderna. Right? So things have changed drastically in just 15, 20 years. But a lot of them, I think just because like they're working, they're not as in tune to this stuff. They haven't really caught on to that yet. Or they're so good at it, they just know how to play the game.
I just... all the COVID stuff, the vaccines, like... I'm thinking about it now because think about if you had to get the tires on your car changed every 3 months. Would you say that your tires were working? Would you say those are good quality tires? Would you recommend those tires to people? Probably not.
No.
So why are we recommending a vaccine that you've got to get quarterly?
Yeah.
It clearly is. Why is that quality to us? Why are we okay with that?
Because it makes them more money. What do you think? Do you think Howard Stern, do you think it's just like he's got so much in his past that he has to kind of lick the boot?
But nobody's even talking about him enough for him to get canceled. That's the funny part.
I don't think anybody's asking him to lick the boot.
I don't think Gen Z knows who Howard Stern is.
No. This man did not. Nobody forced him to lick the boot. He went down to the shoe store, asked the guy at Foot Locker.
What's the dirtiest boot you
Exactly.
have?
You know, I want you to find me the grossest boot you possibly can and shine it with the most disgusting smelling polish possible. And I want you to cook it well done for me.
And I will eat it whole.
And he did this all voluntarily.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gross, and Howard. But it's just weird because a lot of people, like, I'm older, so like I'm kind of more in line. Even I was young when Howard Stern was in his big heyday, right? I wasn't really listening to shock jock radio, but like my brother
Does
would have
shock
been.
jock radio exist anymore?
It's on it's supposed to be like on Sirius XM, which is where he is, right?
Or is it shock jock podcasts that have taken
podcasts more, right?
Also, the thing is, like, now that it's podcast format and you can do it without syndication from a radio channel, I think people
the whole push and pull of it was like keeping syndication while being as out there and vulgar as possible. That push and pull and that uneasiness with the audience, it doesn't really exist anymore if you're just on YouTube or on Rumble or wherever.
Now you can say whatever you want and have a show about whatever you want, and anybody can watch it. And
unless YouTube censors you.
True.
And pulls your stuff. Unless you're Russell Brand, then you can do it. You just can't make a living doing it.
Unless you're me and YouTube decides to demonetize your video.
So, like, did you ever figure out, like, where in Estonia this was all going on from? Just
I have no idea.
It just seems
what
like
happened.
A VPN situation.
It seemed like somebody somewhere was just trying to screw with me for putting the video up. I don't think it's some sort of organized conspiracy, but I do think somebody was like maybe going around trying to get videos on Sound of Freedom that had, and again, this our goal was to be neutral and unbiased going into this. I know I don't sound like I am now, but that's because during the research for it, I became very irritated with
the people,
with one side of things, with the dishonesty. But yeah, it's, I don't know, man. I'm rambling.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We got a couple of super chats left there.
Yurishima Otaru said, "Why Dr. Pepper in a cola pool?" I had hot Dr. Pepper.
I've never. Yeah, that sounds disgusting.
Hot Dr. Pepper.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Have you guys seen like the hot Kool-Aid sketch from like heyday YouTube, like 2012 YouTube? Look up hot Kool-Aid or warm Kool-Aid after this. You'll enjoy it. There's also Malk, same guys.
Oh.
I think I remember that
Malk.
one. I remember that one. Surenko Productions said, "I think Mary skipped a couple super chats." I don't read them all one by one. I don't think I skipped any unless our spreadsheet
it could be
isn't
the
working?
spreadsheet, guys, because it's saying that we got. I'm actually going to manually set off the crisis meter because it says we reached a crisis party. But again, it looks like we're malfunctioning again today. So
I'm glad you warned.
Yeah, it says something different when I'm looking at it here, but
yeah,
we did reach a crisis party.
Going. Aidan loves it.
Is this a new one?
Yeah.
I was gonna say the harmonies weren't there on the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what?
We had Ian and Carter sing it, and then I included Phil.
I'm actually impressed.
Yes. Well, we've got a night. What do we got coming for one?
I want a Nightcore remix.
That's amazing.
Crisis sound. Yeah, I'm really excited for it. Are you okay, Brett?
I thought it was going to go off again.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yesterday it was just going crazy.
It's
and then that door over there opened.
Ghosts,
and
man.
Ghosts, you say?
Ghosts. He's like, that's
now
joke's
listen.
on you. I'm into that shit.
They were anticipating
Okay,
your
allow me
arrival,
to-
clearly.
That's what it was.
Allow me to get my gear.
Yeah. Wait, did you ever watch like the ghost hunting shows?
Oh, yeah.
Love them?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, aren't they all fake, though?
Oh, now one of the things I do on Twitch is I go back and I watch like ghost hunting content and I point out all the places they're obviously faking things. But yeah, like it's a lot of fun.
What was your favorite?
Paranormal State. It was the Penn State Paranormal Research Society had a TV show on like AMC or something, like not AMC, A&E or something like that when I was in elementary school.
All right.
And I mean I was a Penn State family, so that was like so exciting for me.
Whole family go to Penn State?
Good probably half of them.
Chunk of the family went to Penn State?
It's definitely the most common school in my family.
Shane H. Wilder said, wait, everyone can't shoot people in the knee like John Reese.
That's the best part of that show. So in the show Person of Interest, one of the ways that you can tell whether the Reese character is how serious he is like if he goes center mass, there's likely a child in danger or something like that. But in the show, it's the most 1980s approach where he draws from the hip and he literally doesn't even raise the gun past his hip and he shoots him and he always shoots him in the knee, and it's from any angle, from any distance. It's my favorite part of the show. The best part is also they didn't use blood squibs. What they would do is, and I don't see this in a lot of shows, they didn't do blood squibs, they didn't do CGI blood, they did dust packets. So you'd shoot him in the knee and dust would fly out.
Like red dust.
No, not even red, just dust.
What?
I have no idea why, and it was never distracting. Like I never noticed it until somebody in a podcast I was listening to pointed it out to me. But I'm watching and I'm like, why are they bleeding dust from their knee?
Maybe back then the cameras were
I mean, it was
poor enough that
2011. It was 2011, so it's not like that. It was like, and also like it was one of the more egregious examples of like when they would do like bigger weapons, it made sense. But whenever he'd shoot, they used like the worst types of basically prop guns, where he would shoot, and he always carried like a SIG 226 like Navy edition or something like that. But the slide would never rack, like he would, like the slide would never actually go when he would shoot. So it's like so you'd still get it still had a blank in it, so you still got like the fire, but the slide wouldn't actually retract. So it was really, really fake looking, and I never cared. It never bothered.
I hate that.
Show.
It was still a good show, and a big part of it was like a lot of it took place at night. If it was happening during the day, it would be more noticeable. But yeah, like that was never the core element of the show. So I was laughed at that. I was like, wow, that didn't look real at all.
Yep.
Seth Essington said, I fell for a crypto scam and lost $1,700. I might be able to get back most of it, but I'm screwed if I can't. I'm a complete idiot.
My brother in Christ, stop sending Superchats.
Yeah, bro. what's the idea of a crypto
Was it Logan
scam?
Paul's
Is this
crypto
like,
scam?
is this a joke? I hope this is a joke.
Like what's a crypto scam? Like supposed to be like
It was like Logan Paul's
NFTs. That's not really
Crypto
a crypto
Zoo.
scam. Like
That's what came to mind for me was Crypto Zoo.
Like, is it just like dollar?
I get a lot of DMs that are like, here's a link to my Bitcoin wallet so you can help me manage my funds. I have $2 million in my Bitcoin wallet. Click this link. Like stuff like that.
It's basically a modern day version of a Nigerian prince.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
Listen, Okonkwo needs me.
I think That's why
is Doge considered a scam?
I don't think Doge is a scam.
Doge wasn't a scam. It was literally just something where you had to get in at the right time, and it cycled through quickly.
Olivia Claire said, Big Pharma so good.
Who doesn't love Big Pharma? It's so great. We love Big Pharma here.
Was that a reference to the like NPC TikTok girl?
Yes.
Big Pharma so good.
Yeah. That's what they should do. Moderna so good.
Adderall so good.
Yum yum. Yes.
I hate the
NPC streamers.
And didn't the FTX guy get off like scot-free or something like that? Like they ended up releasing that guy.
I have heard nothing about him.
He's on.
He kind of just popped up and then disappeared.
Yeah.
No one spoke of him.
Sam Bankman got freed.
Yeah.
There you go. That was clever.
Yeah.
Matt Gingell said, for the party, Jim Butcher just released book 1.5 for his steampunk series where a cat is a main character, at least in the full book. Book 2 comes out in November.
I've never read any of Jim Butcher's stuff other than the Dresden Files, which I did really enjoy. They used to all be on YouTube. The great thing was the audiobooks used to be on YouTube because I don't Audible. Like I just don't, right? And so I'd be able to listen to them because I have YouTube Premium, which allows you to do the music setting. And then like eventually they all got taken down, and somebody would like uploaded them where just like a normal person would read the whole book. And I can't do that because James Marsters is the voice of that character now. He's the voice of that series. So hearing just like a regular person, first of all, that's not real. They got a free one today. You guys got a free Crisis Party.
There you go.
That Crisis Party back there is not real.
How do you feel about Tiffany Gomez?
I was tagged so many times
because they want you to investigate,
and I was like, I was literally my only response was, that is a woman who mixed benzos and alcohol.
Yep. Yeah. Just don't be one of those people that takes Ambien on a plane before they fly. That's insane. Was that at the Colorado airport though? Because I've heard a lot of shady stuff about that Colorado airport.
Okay,
no, it wasn't.
so
it was at Dallas Fort Worth, wasn't it?
Okay.
It was at Dallas Fort Worth. The Denver airport is
that's the one that's got.
It's a military installation. Yeah. Listen, I know it's not super fun. In my opinion, the reason all the weird symbolism is there is to create such a weird like aura that people assume it's some sort of secret society BS. But in reality, as I'm told,
I was walking around it and I just was like, this is a normal airport.
Yeah, for the most part it is. There's just a few like weird, quirks, like some Illuminati symbolism and whatever. But what I was essentially told by my sources in the Department of Defense is that it was constructed as an alternative to the Cheyenne complex, the Mount Weather complex. That it's just a redundancy for those. So it's the same idea: deep underground tunnels, nuclear fallout shelter, where the government can continue running.
What are you doing?
Oh, nothing. Keep going.
Yeah.
Okay.
It makes complete sense. It's a massive project that doesn't make sense and was entirely over budget and took too long for military.
What
are you doing?
Nothing.
Why are you saying nothing?
Because there's a super chat later I wanted to address.
Oh, okay. You were just setting up your reaction video.
No,
I'm giving like insider DOD knowledge on the Denver airport, and Brett's just like tap 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 tap.
Looking at memes.
I'm planning ahead.
Whatever.
Brett's got the soundboard over there. Who's pulling his?
I don't like being judged like this. I don't like it.
Overdressed said Howard Stern is probably ashamed of his past and the people he has to hang out with now. Other rich people need him to be palatable.
They're the same rich people he hung out with before. They've just all pretended to be more virtuous than they were before.
Yeah. Darth Doza said, Mary, thank you for the Silence film recommendation. It was very good and very heavy. Context of the past is always useful. Brett, Army of Darkness, yes or no? Good day to you all.
Never got around to seeing it. I do need to watch that one. There's a couple up there. There's one from High Voltage 75 that says, Stern's been irrelevant for so long. The only audience he has left in NYC is NYC boomers, liberals, and celebrity friends. If he's got the money, I guess he doesn't really have to care, right? He's like, he's fine.
Here's the thing. I wonder why, when you're a guy like Howard Stern, why not just retire? Like, you don't need to keep talking. Yeah. There is probably no benefit.
But it's the only human contact he has, Aidan. He doesn't go outside.
There's a certain point where, like, as somebody in the public sphere, you cross a threshold, kind of like the Laffer curve in taxation, where like you are now taking more risk to yourself by being in public than you are by just fading into the background and going to the parties and relaxing.
But they're addicted to the...
Yeah, they're narcissists.
He needs the adulation, or he needs the attention, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's just... When you really think about it, when you do something for that many years, and part of that is the gratification of seeing people, like knowing people are watching or listening to you every day, it would be very hard for somebody to give that up, right?
Yeah, I guess I think about just look back, like, when's the last time you saw Bill Murray do a movie?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying he hasn't done a movie in forever, but, like, he's not making movies every year anymore. He's every once in a while, he
has cameos.
He has a cameo, he's in a movie, he's in a TV show, you know.
That's actually the best place to be, too, because he's at a profile where he makes amazing money for those cameos, so he just makes an appearance here and there.
Yeah, exactly. So, I just think, I want to get to a certain point where I'm like...
Christian has a question for you, I think. Do you think Bigfoot is real? And what cryptic animals do you think is real?
So my take on a lot of this stuff with, cryptids and mythological creatures and all of that is that in most cases, excepting times when they've just been completely made up on like 4chan, like the Rake or the Fleshgate, stuff like that, I think that what you have is a remnant of a much older story of something real that whispered down the lane itself into something different over time. So, I'll pick probably the most popular option, something we did a video on recently if people want to check it out, like the Wendigo and the Wachuge, these cannibalistic creatures from Canada. If you go back and you trace the stories as far back towards the most factual accounts possible, what you get is, well, the folklore version that everybody knows is the Wendigo is this man-eating giant monster with deer antlers who stalks the forest and is super fast and rips people apart and all of that. If you go back and you look at, there's an account of the execution of a Wendigo from the 1760s, and it's just a dude who killed his family and ate them and straggled out of the forest. And when they were looking at him, when he finally made it to camp and, they were trying to feed him, he would just kind of like listlessly eat fish and stuff like that, all the while staring at the children, remarking on how fat they looked. So like the actual Wendigo is somebody who has gone completely insane due to their mind breaking from having to commit the act of cannibalism. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, that's most monsters that we have in modern folklore, and the way we understand a lot of these ancient stories is there was something very real and probably rather mundane that over time became legendary and monstrous.
Okay.
So I think that Bigfoot might be the same kind of thing, where maybe Bigfoot is stories of an earlier race of hominids that were similar to us but not quite the same, like Neanderthals.
All right.
High Voltage 75 said, has Aidan seen Glizzy Overdrive?
I haven't. We have Glizzy Bear on our channel, though.
I pulled up Glizzy Overdrive. That's what I was doing.
Well, thank you for your hard work.
I'm just saying that I was not trying to be disrespectful earlier. Here's Glizzy Overdrive.
Increasing grip by 7%. We are locked in. Thank you for over 160 glizzies and doing Glizzy Overdrive.
That's Glizzy Overdrive.
That is so much better than all the other NPC streamers.
Yes,
apparently. I would watch that. I would subscribe. I would subscribe to that OnlyFans.
I've sent us glizzies.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for the glizzies.
All right, guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? Aidan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me again.
Let everyone
I love being here.
Let everyone know where they can find you, buddy.
My name is Aidan Mattis. You can find me at the Aidan Mattis on most platforms, or at Aidan Mattis on Twitter. And my normal content is over on the Lore Lodge, a channel here on YouTube where we talk about stuff.
Yep. All right, man. Thank you again so much.
Thank you.
That was great. Mary, where can they find you?
You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on Twitter/X. That is also Mary Archived.
Yep. All right, guys. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. PCC is here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. If you'd like to listen rather than watch the show, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you want to follow the show on social media, Twix at popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then, guys. Later.
Bye.
Dr. Pepper wins the poll with 41%, ladies and gentlemen. Coca-Cola got 39%. Pepsi just 19%. I want a recount.